here. This is all just charred hillside, but whatever this is, obviously a total loss. Whatever above it is a total loss. Oh, and then let's look to the south, Elliot. See this big, looks like we just got a big cloud covering it, big thing of smoke, but there was another fire I just saw to the south. We can see those flames kind of poking out. Do you see that? Not sure what that is, but this is where it looks like it jumped PCH. And is now burning kind of on both sides. Again, the good news, obviously, there's nothing on this side of PCH. There's nothing left here to burn. But you can see those embers kind of crossing this parking lot as well here at the beach. Just incredible images. Another thing I just want to point out, we've got 3 American flags that are posted just on that side. You can see them right across PCH. Those are still intact. Everything around them has burned. The structure to the back of it has burned. The hillside all around it has burned. But those 3 American flags remain up and untouched as of now. Wow, but look again at these structures. You see these big, large beams just being consumed. They're falling. I mean, this is just, look at these embers as well. Look at that, just raining down on this parking lot on the beach. Just, I've never seen anything like this. I mean, we've been covering these fires for years here in Los Angeles, and this is just, this is on another level.
Definitely one of the worst of all time that we are witnessing in real time together. Chelsea Edwards, and photographer Elliot Mendoza, thanks for your great work out there. We want to bring in the conversation right now Callie, who joins us on the phone. I was just asking Haley Winslow about why did people abandon their cars? What sparked that? Well, she's one of those people that was stuck in the middle of that, and she can give us some answers on what was happening. Callie, thanks so much for being with us. Walk us through what happened.
Hi, thank you so much. My husband went to go pick up my daughter from Calvary on Palisades Drive, and the fire was just way too close on both sides of Palisades Drive that people were scared for their lives, so they got out of their cars to go down, and then I live up in the Highlands and tried to drive down, and because people abandoned their cars, I wasn't able to get down, so I drove my car back up and took a bicycle all the way down the hill. And people in my neighborhood on Monte Alto Street are actually still in their homes because they don't think it's safe enough to go down Palisades Drive.
Well, hopefully we can show that video of the cars so people know what we're talking about. Here it is. These are cars that were abandoned, and then fire crews had no way to get up the street, so they brought in a bulldozer and then moved them all to the side and totaled a lot of the cars in the process. So is your car one of these?
Callie, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
So as far as I understood your story, you were going to get stuck in the backup of people abandoning their cars, but you turned your car around, went back to location A and got your bike and then rode your bike down, so you didn't end up having to abandon your car as others did. Is that right?
No, but my husband was one that he also went down and he had to abandon his car.
I see, because the flames were just coming too close. What is your status currently tonight?
I'm staying at a hotel in Santa Monica and praying my house doesn't burn down.
Is your family safe? I think you said your daughter and your husband?
Yes, everybody's safe, but I'm really concerned about my neighbors who are just sheltering in place still because they don't think they can get down that road.
And they think this because of the cars or because of the flames?
The flames and the cars, because everybody was turned away at one point and told to shelter in place.
Wow. And now we're looking at some video of some of these cars that were, when they were moved by that bulldozer and moving around like little toys. I think about how strong that thing is there. So, Callie, how are you processing all of this?
I'm just happy that I'm with my family, but of course it's very gutting to know that I don't have any of my belongings with me.
Oh, we're so sorry to hear that. How long have you been a resident of the Pacific Palisades?
We actually moved from Topanga 3 years ago because I was so worried about the fires there.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. And traditionally, the Palisades has been able to be spared from a lot of these fires for many, many years. Can you talk about, and obviously it sounds like your husband experienced this really, just what the chaos was like of that moment with the cars and everybody being stuck and just what that felt like, what people were saying?
So I was taking a bicycle down Palisades Drive, and the palm trees in the middle of the road, the tops were all on fire. There were cars on fire. It was very scary. There was fire on both sides of the street. I'm just grateful I got out.
Did you get a formal evacuation warning from the city, from LAFD, or did you make the call on your own?
No, there's not very good service up there right now.
So you made the call on your own?
Yes, my neighbors told me to stay, and they're still there.
Have you had contact with them since?
Yes, and they said that they don't feel safe driving down Palisades Drive right now.
Wow. Well, hopefully maybe we can put some of those people in touch with rescue crews or maybe firefighters or somebody who can help get them out.
Yes, they're on Monte Alto.
Monte Alto. Okay, maybe we can make that happen.
All right, we will do our best to pass that word along. Obviously, they are pretty busy right now too, but we appreciate you sharing that word with us, and we wish you the best and hope we can stay in touch with you in the hours ahead.
And we hope that your home is spared. Kelly, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
It's now 5:30. You are watching the Fox 11 News at 5, a night that we will not soon forget here in Southern California. Alex Michelson, Marla Tejas here with you for the evening as we are watching the Palisades fire burn more than 1,200 acres, threatening 10,000 more. And we have seen probably at least 24 structures burn, if not more than that.
Let's go to the ground. I believe we're going to Chelsea Edwards on the ground, and you're along PCH, and you've seen some serious destruction behind you. There was talk of, you mentioned the big structure behind you that was burning. This may be the Villa de Leon.
That's what it's looking like on the maps. That certainly seems to match. I mean, look up there. You can see those columns. You see the fire just kind of shooting out of them right now. That's certainly what it appears to be. Again, it's very hard to get oriented where we are just because of this thick black smoke. Come down a little bit, Elliot. You can see the structure. Just a few minutes ago, that was standing, whatever that was. Now it's just a few beams. We just saw some huge collapses of some of the major structural beams there. There's hardly anything left there. And if you go even further south on PCH, I mean, we're just seeing these big clouds of black smoke sweeping down the hillside and coming toward the ocean. Not sure what it is up there that's burning, but it looks like they're kind of repositioning a lot of their firefighting efforts down this way. We just saw a convoy of fire officials that just were rushing down PCH. I see another one that's up in the distance coming down from the north. And again, you got like a police officer here. So it seems that they're focusing some of their efforts now on this section, which is south of Sunset Boulevard along PCH. And, you know, we're looking at these structures that are burning. Take a look up there. You see a ridge now on fire. The good news from where we're standing, at least, everything on this hillside is already burned. This is all charred. You just see some embers now, but everything to the sides of it are going up. I mean, that was nothing just 60 seconds ago, and now you can see that ridge fully engulfed. Now, just up to the north a little bit, you can see this wind as well. I mean, it's just blowing. Now up there's a mobile home park that we have gotten reports that there are some structures that are on fire up there. Again, we have not independently confirmed those. We're not near any fire officials right now, so haven't confirmed that. But again, with the smoke that we're seeing and these sounds that we're hearing, I mean, just sounds like huge structures. Stones are falling down. You just can't make out what's going on, but I mean, just something to behold here. Again, that structure is now gone. There's nothing left of that. And look at the ferocity of this fire that's sweeping down toward the beach now. Look at that black smoke. I mean, whatever is burning up there is just completely engulfed in flames. It's sweeping across PCH. We saw it burning on the other side of PCH for a little while. I mean, there's nothing on this side really to burn other than some grass, and then you've got the beach and the water. So, I mean, that's the good news, at least on this stretch. There are no homes right where we're standing on this side of PCH. Of course, you go north and south, and that's not the case in other places. So I assume that's what firefighters are working on, trying to protect some of the structures that are on PCH, because this wind is certainly pushing the flames that direction. I mean, they're coming down the mountain and then toward the ocean. So, you know, it's hard to see what's happening down there. We see a lot of emergency personnel. Here's another part of that convoy, or at least a few other fire officials that are heading down there toward the south. So that's kind of where it looks like a lot of the action is happening, but just quite a scene to behold. I mean, it is just wild up here. You see a palm tree. I don't know if you can see this, Elliot, but see up at the very top, that's a tall palm tree up there. That was on fire just a second ago. You can see how parts of it are burning. You've got embers kind of in the trunk of that palm tree and then up on the fronds as well. So that's certainly a concern as well. You know, you get one of those palm fronds that is on fire and then gets carried in this wind. I mean, as we've said many times, they can go up, you know, as far as 2 miles. So you've got homes all up and down PCH, all up and in these hillsides as well. I mean, we're right in the Pacific Palisades, Santa Monica, just this way. And then you've got Malibu up there. So a lot of residential areas. And when you look at things like that, I mean, there's no way that firefighters can do anything about that without air support. I mean, that is so tall when you look at the height of where those embers are on that palm tree. So if you get those embers, you get those fronds that start flying around, especially in these winds, there's just nothing anybody can do. I mean, wherever they land, you're just at their mercy. I mean, there's no way to predict where they're going to go, and there's no way to fix it if they do land and catch something on fire. So very dangerous situation out here. And again, we're seeing a lot more support. I see more firefighters that are coming from the north down to the south down here on PCH to deal with whatever is happening down there. So it appears that this fire is kind of moving in this southwesterly direction. Again, kind of hard to get oriented on exactly where we are because it's just so hard to see. The visibility is so low here. But I mean, look, again, just look at this. It just keeps getting worse, it seems like. It just structures back there, whatever is back there. Hopefully everybody got out and was able to evacuate, because this whole hillside is just gone, Marla and Alex.
Wow. That picture really speaks for itself, and it looks like another structure may be burning there. We want to show you some video from...
Wow. Oh, did you hear that explosion?
Yes.
That sounded like a, I don't know what that was, a transformer or something, but that was large. I could feel that one, actually. Could feel the vibration from that one. Whatever that was very large.
I felt like we could feel that from here. All right, Chelsea, stay safe where you are. Let's show you this video if we can. So this is some video from a little earlier where we see how close the flames got, at least in that video, to the Getty Villa. Now, in this video, which was clearly posted to TikTok, we don't see the actual Getty Villa burning. We just see what's near the Getty Villa burning. And from what you said earlier, Marla, they have not said that the actual structure itself is burned.
Right. So to your point, the Getty Villa is a massive complex. The vegetation around it is burning, but the president and CEO put out a statement saying that the staff at art collection remain safe, and it's just some of those trees and vegetation on site that have burned. So at this point, and they have, as you can imagine, great protection given the museum, the art collection inside, the irrigation system they have on site. So at this point, all remains to be in one piece at the Getty Villa. And here's another live look.
This is Chelsea's camera.
Shot.
And maybe let's just all be quiet for a moment and just try to listen in to the sounds of this right now and listen to these winds. Hear how dramatic that is in person, and how Chelsea and photographer Elliot Mendoza are doing a great job of even being able to stand up in all of that. You see that it looks like a bunch of fire crews have now arrived there. If this is indeed right near the Getty Villa, you wonder if they're going to work to try to save that structure. As we've talked about, you kind of have to prioritize, and that may be one of the things that they're going to prioritize. But you know, we don't know. Sometimes it gets so intense that you can't stop the fire, and we are seeing that. And look at this live picture. Wow, as it's gotten darker, you know, the dramatic image of that fire line right in the middle of, you know, one of the more populated areas of Southern California is just a sort of awe-inspiring and also scary sight. That picture coming to us from, I believe, our Santa Monica cam, looking back towards Pacific Palisades.
Let's go ahead and get a look at that forecast and the winds with Chief Meteorologist Adam Kruger. This is when you expected those winds to pick up. I know the later we get, the worse those winds will be traveling.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting is a little while ago, so just kind of like really dissecting what the computer model was showing, and I'll have that in a second here, but it was actually indicating around 5 to 6 p.m., just for like an hour, that the winds would slightly back off. And I'm looking at some of the weather instruments kind of near the Pacific Palisades. There's not a good one right in the heart of the city. But actually some of these, compared to about an hour ago, the winds have come down about 10 miles per hour. So that little 5 to 6 p.m. window, which we're in right now, seems to maybe be playing out, but then the winds will ramp up big time this evening. I'll get to that in a moment. I wanted to share this with you earlier, though, to give you some context. You know, people that have lived here a long time kind of get how it works around here with these extreme events coming every now and then. But if you're new here and you're wondering how rare it is to see what we have right now, which is a PDS red flag warning, stands for particularly dangerous situation. It was in 2020 when the National Weather Service started using this tag. It's reserved for the most extreme events. And from 2020 to the start of the season, there was a gap where there was not a PDS red flag warning. Then we had one in November. You'll remember that was the fire around Camarillo, the mountain fire. Then we had another one in December. That was the Franklin fire around Malibu. And now we have the third one in this season issued, which is, I mean, they're already rare. They're kind of like every couple of years if you want to just average it out. And we've had 3 already this season. So what we're seeing this season is not normal, for sure. 3 of these major events, just November, December, now January here with the one we're seeing right now. Okay, so before we even get to the forecast winds, we've got this red flag warning that's today and tomorrow. Then we head into Thursday, and still most of the area, excluding a part of the LA basin, let's say, most of the area is still in the red flag warning, which means we're still seeing dangerous fire weather conditions. But the worst of the winds now through tomorrow morning, and then the high wind warning ends at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Now we'll look at the forecast wind speeds starting right about now. Here's Pacific Palisades, but notice just as we look across the broad area, going a little later into the evening, 7 o'clock, we're kind of around where we're at right now. Watch the drastic increase when I move this forward from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. We see the numbers get quite a bit higher. We see the just overall coverage of the intense winds cover a lot more of the map. And then from there on out, we're just locked into winds like this from, let's say, 9 or 10 o'clock tonight all the way into tomorrow morning. So as I advance this now, here's 2 o'clock in the morning, for example, and this doesn't mean everywhere is going to have gusts over 60 at the same time, but winds of that nature will be possible. And we're talking gusts, not sustained winds, but bursts of winds that could be up that strong. Many areas across Southern California could face these, or will face these types of winds with the very dry air. Now, here's 4 o'clock in the morning. Still, it's pretty extreme. Here we go into 10 o'clock in the morning. It is still what I would call extreme winds. And then we go later into the day on Wednesday, and you see the wind speeds back off a little bit. You see the coverage of the highest winds kind of cover less ground as we head into 7 p.m. Wednesday. So it's that point at which the high wind warning will end, and this is the reason why. But that doesn't mean we're totally in the clear. There's still red flag conditions that continue into Thursday. I also want to share with you the future humidity. So we're looking at forecast relative humidity, which we saw was below 20% today, including in the Pacific Palisades when this fire started at 10:30 this morning. Now, as we go into tomorrow, here's another thing working against us, is the air actually gets a little bit drier. It's already very dry, but the relative humidity, as you see in many spots, will be below 10% around midday tomorrow. So the fact that it gets drier and the fact that the winds are only increasing as we go through tonight and tomorrow morning, not a good scenario to say the least. 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. is the window the National Weather Service says the winds will be at their peak. I still think even into like 7, 8, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, they're going to be quite extreme. Again, we're just bracing for those gusts over 60 for a large part of the area. Very, very difficult situation. We heard earlier in the press conference, as I head back to you here, that they said, you know, they can fly their aircraft in winds like this, but whatever they drop, it's not going to do much good when the winds are this strong. It just gets blown away from their intended target.
All right, Adam Kruger, thank you. We'll check in with you in a second. Let's go back out to Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf. And Matthew, a not great update when it comes to Pali High.
Yeah, we just drove right past Palisades Charter High School, and there are portions of the building up in flames right now. We're right outside the school, and see we can walk across the street. This is towards the football stadium. I believe that is the score box on fire. As we're going to turn this way with all these embers flying. I do have an anemometer with me. It's measuring winds gusting to 35, 40 miles per hour with flames on the other side of the street as well. Let's see if we can push this way. And I'm actually with photojournalist Sam Dubin. You went to this high school, Sam. If you don't mind, what's this like?
It's heartbreaking. This is my alma mater. The baseball field's totally gone. Some of the buildings are gone. This house across the street's gone. This is the newer aquatic center, the Maggie Gilbert Aquatic Center. Looks okay right now. The classrooms appear okay, but it's just heartbreaking for everyone who went to this school. A lot of people have gone here over the years.
Yeah, I can't imagine just seeing that, especially as your alma mater. And we're looking at, looks like the pool right now, and then looking across the street. So we're battling these winds. More buildings have burned down, and just this thick black smoke. Again, winds. It just stings because of all this debris flying around. Looking at my anemometer, gust 25 miles an hour right now, but we've seen probably close to 40. It's hard to put this into words, seeing this home up here on fire and all these other structures and even a high school. I'll go ahead and send it back to you.
Yeah, we were hearing earlier that the gym was impacted, and now we're seeing just utter destruction of Pali High School. We're so sorry. We know that obviously thousands of kids go there, and Sam Dubin, our photographer, is an alma mater, so as he described it, he said it was heartbreaking to see it go up in flames. The aquatic center is new. That looks like that is holding strong at this point, but as we know, that could all change in the blink of an eye. Across the street, that massive home fully engulfed in flames, and
We're still on.
the winds, obviously, as he was measuring on his own, Matthew Seedorf, at least 25 miles per hour. Matthew, you look like you're a man on a mission right now. What are you seeing? Where are you going to?
Yeah, just trying to take a look at this home. We know that a lot of people had trouble evacuating, so you're just thinking about that. And obviously just starting the new year and seeing this right now, and all these homes are destroyed. Basically, you can just see the chimney sticking out there, but just looking around, just surrounded by flames at this point. If you want to flip that way, Sam, looking back towards the high school itself, you can see more flames up the road. And when we just showed you the football stadium, and just the wind, it stings, like I was saying. Hard to put this into words, what we're experiencing and seeing out here. And just driving, making the drive back down to where we are. We were just up the mountain, probably 10-minute drive, but there's just spot fires between here and there. So just seeing all these structures and homes and people's lives burning right now is all their belongings and stuff. It's hard to see.
Yeah, looking at the history of the school, it was founded in 1961. It was built for $6 million on a filled-in canyon, and now we're seeing that canyon be engulfed in flames. Almost 3,000 people are enrolled, students at Pali High School, which is now burning live on our air tonight.
And can we tell, are the classrooms themselves burning?
So I'll let Sam answer that question because he's familiar with the school. They're curious if the classrooms themselves are burning.
I don't think the classrooms are burning yet. That's kind of in this area right here. It just seemed to be the athletic fields, but
okay.
It's very close, and if the embers have already spread to the football field, that is probably less than a quarter mile from the ocean. So if I pan this way, the ocean is just maybe half a mile down this way. So there's houses just on that side. It's a mobile home estates park just on the other side, actually, of these flames here. So the fire's definitely heading that way, and I just hope they have the resources to protect those homes just on the side of those trees.
Yeah, I mean, the best case scenario for the school, obviously the best case scenario is no flames at all, but if you're just looking at the athletic fields and the classrooms themselves stay intact, then you can continue going to school there. You don't have to, have everybody go somewhere else. So I'm sure there's going to be an effort as we see the fire trucks there to try to protect those classrooms and keep, some of that school, the heart of that school intact. I can only imagine how surreal this must be for you, Sam, being there in the middle of this. We thank you for your experience and perspective, and Matthew, we will keep coming back to you throughout the night. Ed Laskos and his photographer Mike Armijo have also been showing us dramatic pictures tonight. We want to check in with them for an update from their location. Ed.
And we are downwind from Matthew's spot, a couple of blocks, really. Mikey will give you a look. Well, through all of the smoke and haze, you can see the flames. That is what Matthew was just showing us, a couple of blocks over on Temescal. But the wind blowing, look at all those lit embers blowing down this way from right to left on your screen. And down here is Antioch, just south of Haverford. That looks like a war zone, home after home. And as you see the homes on the right, the flames, the wind pushing them over to the left side of the road, and homes on that side are now burning. Several homes, I would think more than half a dozen in that area since we've been here the last hour or so. There's also been several spot fires. Up here, this is Gelson's. We talk about how close we are in the village itself of the Palisades. Gelson's up there. Gelson's, it doesn't appear to be on fire, but a lot of the bushes. Spot fires in the parking lot of Gelson's right through the village and over, another block over on Haverford. Some of the lawn, the front lawn of a home caught on fire, lit up, and then it's kind of died down. A hedge we saw about an hour or so. That home, remember we were watching that, the hedge about 6 feet tall, it burned down. The home not threatened, but these embers are the big problem now, blowing through here. You've got that foggy smoke, you can't see much. Just heard that, right? Another transformer blowing up here as a lot of the power lines, some of them are coming down. Police are going through telling everybody to stay away. But this is one of the side entrances here to the parking lot at Gelson's. As the wind comes again, look at this. How do you fight this? You got those embers just roaring through, pushed by this wind. They go down a mile or so, pick up another spot fire. I have no idea how firefighters could get a handle on this with these winds. We're all at the mercy of the winds at this point. Gelson's itself not appears to be on fire. It's just the hedges around here with this spot fire. And then the other side down in Antioch, several homes lost there. Oh, right in the middle of the Palisades village itself. That was the hope as this fire started. Fire Command was hoping that they could keep it on the north end of Sunset. And unfortunately with these winds, it's just jumped right over, and the wind's pushing it. Here's the parking lot of Gelson's. The Gelson's off to the left. You can see power's on there. Nobody's in there, but it's not damaged. Yeah, not damaged by the flames. Parking lot though is. A lot of flames through here. A lot of spot fires burning through here. And again, here's more of those winds.
Yeah, maybe we can show Ed those grocery carts that we were just looking at there, because about an hour ago we showed Christy Fajardo was in that location, and we showed all those carts moving around. If you were watching us during the coverage then, they were moving around in the wind, and now they're all on fire, which is kind of
yeah, they're all charred and burned.
Yeah. That's sort of emblematic of what we're looking at here. All right, Ed, thank you so much. Speaking of Christy Fajardo, let's go back to her now and get an update from her perspective.
Well, you heard Ed talk about the Gelsons. We're actually just a few feet away from the Gelsons, and these two apartment buildings are directly across the street. These are massive complexes, and they're on fire, and it is really telling just about how much smoke and how the wind is factoring in, because there are flames under all of this, and you can't see them because the wind is whipping up all of the water. We're actually getting doused as firefighters are trying to dump water on the flames, but the wind is actually blowing it in the opposite direction, so not clear how much is getting on the apartment complex, and certainly not as effective as it would be under other circumstances. Now you can see some flames coming out a window there on the top. And we're actually on Sunset Boulevard between Temescal Canyon and Via de la Paz. And you also heard Matt talk about Pali High. We were actually there when the fire reached the high school, and it happened so quickly because there was a big gust of wind and suddenly got very dark, and there was fire all around us. That's when we evacuated, and sad to hear that some buildings burned there, because when we were there, it looked like vegetation only. We had hoped that it would stay that way. But again, this is one apartment complex. The next door one is also on fire. We saw flames coming off from the rooftop. But unlike other places that we've been here today, there is quite a bit of firefighter resources. They brought in tons of engines to try to put out this fire. But also when we get these big gusts, we start to see rain of embers. And we've seen little spot fires. I showed you a spot fire earlier in the Gelson's parking lot. And that is why these fires are so dangerous. The wind just starts so many fires, and firefighters can't keep up. Sorry, the wind just blew a bunch of water in our direction. But you see the problem here. The water's blowing towards us instead of towards the flames. So firefighters really have a fight on their hands, and very, very hazardous and dangerous, and not at all optimal conditions. That is the latest from here. Let's send it back to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to even make out her picture. You see that they got sprayed by the water. It was intended to go toward the flames, of course, but that's sort of that's exactly the problem when it comes to night flying and the winds with the fire retardant. That Phos-Chak would just be blown away from the target. It's one of the reasons why they cannot fly at night. There would really be no purpose. This is our Santa Monica live camera here, and those flames have been raging on this hillside all afternoon. This fire broke out at 10:30. It's simply called the Palisades Fire. At last check, it was just about 1,300 acres. 10,000 homes remain threatened. We don't have an exact number in terms of structure loss, but we have seen at least a couple of dozen homes burned, and obviously other structures, whether those commercial buildings, apartment complexes, and vehicles as well.
Chelsea Edwards continues our live team coverage right now. Chelsea is right on PCH, which is the bottom right picture on your screen right now. Chelsea, how have conditions changed since we last talked with you?
Well, fortunately, reporting that more homes have gone up. Look at what we're experiencing right now. I mean, we can feel the heat from the fire. It is just incredibly intense. Look at these supporting beams fall. Now, we just confirmed this is called Terrace Circle. These are very nice homes that are in this area. We actually just had a gentleman a few minutes ago drive up in his car. He looked just completely in shock. He was covered in ashes and soot, and he pointed and he said, "That's my home." And then he kept walking. He didn't want to say anything after that, and then he continued on down this parking lot, and we haven't seen him since. His car is still parked here, though, so I'm hoping that he comes back. But he watched this, he looked at this and said, "This is my home." You think of what these people are going through as they watch these images. They're watching their livelihoods, everything that they have just going up in an instant. And this just progressively is getting worse. I mean, when we got here, it was really the structure to the left of what's burning now that was on fire, and up in the hillsides. Now it looks like there are multiple structures up in the hillsides up there that are on fire. In addition to these homes here on Terrace Circle, there's at least 3 that have burned to the ground. And it looks like there could be another one there a little bit further down. It's just devastating. You hear these pops as well, and things exploding inside. You think of all the things you have in a house. You've got gas tanks, you've got aerosol container, hairspray, things like that pop. We're hearing that over and over and over again, and again just feeling the heat from these flames and just watching these structures burn to the ground with no support. I mean, we see these fire officials who are driving up and down PCH, but they've got other priorities. They're trying to save lives. They're at various places, but we haven't seen a single water drop or any kind of mitigation attempt on these homes here on Terrace Circle. So these are just freely burning, and you can imagine these homeowners watching this and just feeling so incredibly helpless, which is the sense that I got from the gentleman who pulled up here just a few minutes ago. Just complete helplessness. Elliot, if we can look up on that ridge, something up on the top has just kind of erupted as well. We're seeing some very tall flames up on the top of that ridge, and this one just keeps getting worse. Okay, we can actually, sorry, Elliot, if we can come back down to this, the wind, you can see it almost creating these little fire tornadoes that are so powerfully pushed that they're almost they're almost horizontal. You can see it kind of pushing toward the ocean. You can actually see where the wind is blowing and just fanning these flames, just fueling them. I mean, it's just endless fuel for this fire. Again, the good news, though, we're in this parking lot, and the other side of this is just the beach. There's no structures on the other side. There are no homes that are threatened on the other side of this. But, I mean, from what we can tell from where we're standing, it looks like everything at this part of Terrace Circle is just a total loss. I mean, these images are just, oh, these gusts of wind. That one nearly knocked me over. These gusts of wind are so powerful, and they just kind of come out of nowhere. I mean, you're standing here, and everything kind of seems fine, and then you see it hit these flames, and they just whip up, and then all of a sudden it hits us, and we kind of get knocked back as well. They are so ferocious and powerful. We can't see anything now south of PCH, south on PCH. For a long time, we could see some flames on the other side of PCH. The fire had jumped briefly, but I think it was just burning brush or grass kind of on this side of the beach. We could also see other structures on fire down to the south. Now we don't see any of that. We don't even see fire personnel down there. For a while, we saw quite a convoy of fire engines that were kind of stationing down to the south there on PCH. So I don't know where they have gone or where they have moved on to, but we could at least see their flashing lights a few minutes ago. We don't see those anymore. So again, these homes are just a total loss, and just remarkable to watch these structures, these beautiful homes, just burn to the ground with just no support at all. I mean, there's nothing you could, see that wall just kind of collapse. I mean, we're just watching these things crumble and fall to the ground. It's really remarkable to watch, Alex and Marla.
And we just saw that vehicle. It seemed like they hit a wall where they just decided to turn around, and they flipped a U-turn, and now they're back southbound on PCH. This vehicle here exiting. So sorry to hear about the man who pulled in and said, "That's my home," and literally watching his home, his livelihood burn. Obviously, he has his life, but it must be just beyond words to experience what so many in the Pacific Palisades are experiencing tonight. Chelsea Edwards and Elliot Mendoza, we thank you for your great work out there on PCH. The both of you stay safe. We'll check in with you. Looking at the clock, it is now 6 o'clock. This is typically the time that Alex and I welcome you to the Fox 11 News at 6 o'clock. Instead of bringing you our typical coverage, we're sticking with our wall-to-wall coverage of the Palisades fire. We give you 3 different live images here. The big box, that's from our Santa Monica camera. It's turned around. It's usually facing towards the pier. You see the hillside with the active flames. The bottom right, smaller picture, that is along PCH as homes burn, and then a neighborhood within the Palisades there. Upper right screen, more structures burning tonight.
This is one of the most destructive fires that we have seen in multiple years. Right now, more than 1,200 acres burned, significantly more than that. 0% containment. This thing is totally out of control right now. At least 30,000 people under mandatory evacuation orders, at least 10,000 homes threatened, and we've seen probably 24, if not more, homes that have already burned, in addition to structures. Pali High, part of that, also burning as we speak. We want to go now to the phone, and joining us live is Charlotte, who is a Palisades resident. Can you talk to us, Charlotte, about what your experience has been like today? What are you seeing from your perspective?
Charlotte, are you there?
Hi, yes.
Hi there, this is Marla Tejas alongside Alex Michelson. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Obviously, we're very sorry for whatever it is that you are dealing with. We understand that you are a resident of the Palisades. What has your experience been like today?
I am. So I live in the Palisades Highlands, right where the fire originated. I'm also a student at Palisades Charter High School. So around 12 p.m., we finally realized that it was kind of time to pack up. We were getting texts from people that were starting to evacuate. So we basically threw everything in a bag. It was just my mom and I. My little brother goes to school right down the road, right on Palisades Drive where the fire was, and now his school is now missing like a playground and cafeteria. The field is scorched and basically gone. But we picked him up and we tried to leave. Palisades Drive was a mess. It was like a zoo, and people literally could not get out. It was at a standstill. So at some point, me, my brother, and like 4 of his friends, we got out, grabbed our bags, and basically ran off of Palisades Drive onto Sunset. I personally was like wearing Uggs and pajamas, and it was quite chaotic. So yeah, we ran onto Sunset, and then we just walked all the way up to our friend's house on Sunset, farther down Sunset near Marquez Charter Elementary School, where we thought we were going to stay, but then I guess the evacuation warning spread, and we then piled about 9 people in a truck, and we headed down to Bel Air Bay Club, where a lot of people that evacuated from my brother's school, Calvary Christian, they were gathering there. Now looking at the news reports, it looks like they've also had to evacuate Bel Air Bay Club, so we basically had to evacuate 3 times, and we are now out in Santa Monica for now.
Do you know the status of your home, Charlotte? What a day you've had.
Yeah, so for now, my family home is still standing, as well as our immediate neighborhood. I do know that my aunt and cousins, their house is, my aunt's house burned down. It started out just touching on the edge. We have an actual video of their house on fire, and that was about 3 hours ago. So they've now told us that it is most likely all burned to the ground. They are on El Medio, and because the fire jumped over the canyon to El Medio, there were no firefighters that we know of there, or at least visible in the video. We couldn't see anyone, and their house is most likely gone.
So sorry to hear about the loss of your aunt's house. We'll be praying that your home continues to stand.
And just the thought of the images that we've seen in the last half hour or so of your high school up in flames. Yeah. How are you thinking about that?
It's really just shocking. It's like I honestly didn't realize that from like the Santa Monica Mountains it could really spread that far. So it wasn't even a thought in my mind that we'd lose the football field and the baseball field, which are 2 places I've spent a lot of time as a softball player. And yeah, I just didn't realize that going back to school was going to be a bit different in a couple weeks. So.
Wow. All right, Charlotte. Well, we're going to let you go. Hopefully you are okay tonight. And we want to, our reporter actually is on the street that you mentioned with a perspective from Charlotte Street. Matthew Seedorf, take it away.
Yeah, we're on El Medio right now, just what she was mentioning, and it is just horrible to see, just a wall of flames. I count at least 7 homes on fire on this street. We have 1 firefighter over here trying to do the best that he can, and we keep hearing these occasional pops from inside these homes. We have more firefighters showing up right now, but just an intense situation with this winds and the fires, and it's out of control, and it's hard to put into words just what we're seeing. But just looking down the street again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 homes. There's another one on the other side of the road that's also on fire. And this is very close to the high school as well, as more firefighters are pulling in now and hoping they can get this to slow down. Go ahead, send it back to you.
It's good to see more of these engines pulling up. LAFD, in terms of staffing, if you're curious, there's 250 plus firefighters there fighting these flames. They have 46 engines, 3 trucks, 5 helicopters, 4 brush patrols, 2 water tenders, 6 paramedic ambulances, 1 advanced nurse practitioner unit, 2 bulldozers, 10 chief officers, and fire investigators and safety officers on scene as these live pictures just get worse and worse and worse. This entire street seemingly on fire. Let's check in with Christy Fajardo. You are around the corner from Palisades High. And what's your situation now?
Well, we're also around the corner from where we just went live, where I showed you those 2 apartment buildings on fire, and I've talked about the rain of embers, and you could see them right here, and you can see what they've done. They've started another spot fire. Now, this house is threatened, and there are tons of firefighting resources just around the corner from us fighting the fire at those 2 apartment buildings, but there are no firefighters here. I know that they are aware that this is burning because a short while ago we saw someone checking it out and then driving over to where the firefighters are, and it appeared to be a fire official. But if we pan that way, I don't know how well you can make it out because the visibility here is really, really poor. But something else is burning just down the street from us. We could see the flames a short while ago, but there's so much smoke that you can't see very far in front of you. And you see more rain of embers, and still some people just now deciding to evacuate. We were surprised to see how many people had stayed put, but many of them are leaving now. And one man, as he was driving out, asked me to relay this message. He said that he was on Ratcliffe and that there was a giant eucalyptus tree on fire and that there were no firefighters there, and he was concerned that the tree was going to catch other homes on fire. And likely that eucalyptus tree caught fire just like this vegetation you see here, because an ember got into it and then it started burning. And so something else is now burning behind the shrub in the walkway between this apartment building and that home. And again, no firefighters here at the moment. We do know they are across the street, or around the corner I should say, and we also believe that they are aware of this, but we will make sure that they know as well. Let's send it back to you.
All right, Christy Fajardo, thank you. We've been talking about Pali High. Pali High is going to be closed tomorrow, as will Canyon Elementary School, Marquez Charter Elementary School, Paul Revere Charter Middle School, Topanga Elementary Charter School. Paul Revere Charter Middle School students will relocate to University High School. Topanga Elementary Charter Schools will report to Woodland Hills Academy. So that's all tomorrow, and I'm sure the schools have let the parents know about that as well.
Let's check in with Ed Lascos now for his vantage point. Ed, where are you?
We are in the village, and no doubt as you've been watching our live pictures, you see a lot of the looky-loos. That's been amazing the last 20 minutes or so. A lot of looky-loos coming in, some riding their motorcycles, others in their pickup trucks coming by, driving, looking at this block burning down to the ground. They all have their cell phones out. Rather macabre scene on their part. Any event, this is Antioch, just below Haverford, about a block south of Gelson's, heart of the village. This whole block has been burning the last hour and a half. The wind started with the flames, the embers on the right side of your screen, on the western side of the street, and the winds have been blowing on your screen from right to left, blowing it across to homes on the left side of Antioch. And as Mike the photographer was saying, with these embers, when you get a really good gust, his description was good. He said it looked like a missile flying up in the air from one of the homes that's totally engulfed in flames and flying over maybe about 200 feet into the neighborhood to the left where we have a glow in the sky. So there are just so many spot fires burning here through the Palisades right now. The wind's kicking up. Sometimes you get some really strong gusts, and it is a shower of those lit embers blowing across. So there's really no way at all that firefighters can stay ahead of this, because as soon as one of these spot fires hits, another one is picked up by the flames. See the vehicles here, more of these looky-loos. They just come by with their cell phones, take pictures of this. My God, it's the last place I would want to be if I wasn't working, to be over here in a fire zone like this where people are losing their homes. In any event, we also had one other lady who came by, and I felt very sorry for her. She was in tears because it was one of her homes down here. We tried to talk to her, but her point, she said, was she was trying desperately to call 911. She had her cell phone too, and she said, look, I keep calling 911. It's not picking up. So I don't know what the situation is about that, but she had just tremendous frustration. But I told her, I'm sure the fire department, well aware that they've got this fire out of control burning in her neighborhood right down the street, Antioch. And off to the right is the glow. That is where we've been seeing part of the Palisades High School burning right along Temescal over there. And that fire is threatening to jump over Temescal and move further to the east in our direction, because the wind is pushing it this way with the embers. When we get some good gusts there, you can see some of the flames lapping over the top of that home. There was a home right at the end of Antioch, right at Temescal itself, that was also on fire. Again, one spot fire after another, and unfortunately these spot fires have homes like that right there just burning out of control right down to the ground.
All right.
And Lascos, a question for you. We know when we were talking to you earlier, there were no firefighters anywhere near you. Has that changed at all, or is it still just burning with nobody there?
Well, we saw one firefighter driving by in a fire truck. He came around this way over toward Antioch and over toward Temescal, surveying the area, but that was it, just trying to get an idea of what was burning. But in terms of a firefight on the ground, no, nothing at all. No firefighters. We hear sirens as they move up and down on Sunset. So probably some of those homes that Christy's been showing us, the apartment buildings up there that have been burning, but nothing down here. But as you look down at this scene, horrific scene, there's not really much firefighters can do here, and if they try to stay ahead of these blowing embers, that's an impossibility too. But it is amazing. That was what the lady who was having an emotional breakdown in a sense, and I certainly can't blame her, trying to get through to 911, and her point was, where are the firefighters? And I said, at this point we're on our own, because the firefighters are doing the best that they certainly can.
Yes, they are. All right, Ed, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. And your photographer, of course, on scene. Stay safe. Smaller picture here, Santa Monica Cam, the flames on the hillside just continue to burn out of control. This fire is 100% out of control. Last check was at 3:30 when we heard from fire officials, county, city, and state, including Governor Newsom, and the complete acreage at that point was 1,262. As you can imagine, that has just ballooned since then. Pardon me. Eric Scott, basically the public information officer of LAFD, was saying that he didn't think that there was going to be an update from officials, another one tonight. The next one was likely not going to happen until tomorrow morning. So it's best to stay with us here at Fox 11 and online. We are streaming foxla.com. I'm Marla Tejas alongside Alex Michelson. You could also, if you have not done so yet, a great resource is the Fox Local app as well, which has all of the information there, and you can stream us live from there. This big picture here, this is from Pacific Coast Highway. Chelsea Edwards is on the ground there. Chelsea, are you there?
Yes, I am, Marla. Oh, it's just devastating watching this. I actually just spoke off camera with the homeowner of one of these homes. It's no longer standing. There's nothing left actually right now. When we got here, it was a full structure. He's just absolutely and understandably distraught. Did you hear that explosion? We've heard a few of these. One, I believe, was a gas line. We heard a very loud whistling sound after. Huge explosion just a couple of minutes ago. We just heard another one. But this gentleman says he's lived in this area. He's lived along PCH his entire life for decades. He's been through a lot of fires, a lot of natural disasters, a lot of events like this, but he said he's never seen anything like this before. And he says this part, at least, these homes could have easily been saved. He's just said he was here all day with his neighbors. They were watering everything down with their garden hoses, trying to save these homes. And they had a fire engine as the flames were coming down through the mountain and coming toward their homes. And he said they ran out of water and they took off. They had to go to something else. So he just sort of stood there helplessly trying to save his home and couldn't do anything about it. He watched it go up. He watched it catch. He first watched his neighbor home catch on fire. Then he watched his home catch on fire. Then their neighbors, and then across the street, and so on. And he's just kind of standing here just in utter disbelief. And he just said, you know, this could have been preventable. This shouldn't have happened this way. But he said that's that. I mean, what can we do? There's absolutely nothing left. There's not even a beam left standing of what was once his home. Everything back up in that hillside has burned as well. We saw a lot of active flames a few minutes ago. Now we're just seeing a lot of smoke, a lot of kind of black, thick smoke just kind of coming down throughout the canyon. Just heard another explosion there. And as it's nightfall now, we're able to see a lot of the glow from other spot fires kind of all over these ridge points. I'm not sure how much the camera can pick up, but if we look directly across PCH, you can see some at the very top there. It looks like there's some wind blowing as well, and some bigger flare-ups that are sort of coming out from the top of that ridge. We're seeing those all up and down PCH. I mean, everywhere you look, you just see flames. No matter what direction you're looking in, there is fire. Again, these homes here on Terrace Circle, there's just nothing left of them. It appears that every single home on there has been lost. This gentleman that I spoke to, he also said there was a 99-year-old resident. They said the residents in that area helped get her out. They brought her here to this parking lot across the street, across PCH, and then she was eventually taken by first responders to safety or to an evacuation center that she couldn't evacuate on her own. But again, he's just sitting here watching just in utter disbelief, as you would be if you saw this. I mean, when we started here, you know, an hour or so ago, there were several structures standing here, not just one, but several along Terrace Circle. And now, I mean, look at this. There's nothing left standing. It's just all gone. And you can see this structure burning a little bit down to the right here. We've seen a couple of people like this appear to be transient individuals. They've approached us a couple of times, and he's approached us a couple of times. Appears to be having kind of a mental break, which also understandable. I think a lot of people coming to this particular area because there's no structures on the other side of PCH. You've just got sand and water, so it's relatively safe in terms of what's going on in this area and in terms of what your other options are, because there's just nothing left to burn once this jumps PCH. It has jumped PCH at certain points. We saw those flames down. You can see in the distance. I can't even see them anymore. We could see them a while ago. Now you just see this thick smoke. And again, no fire personnel either. They were staged for quite some time down at the end of that street, or down a little bit south on PCH. They're no longer there. We can hear the sirens. Not sure exactly where they are, but no firefighting efforts on these homes as well on Terrace Circle. So just so hard for these residents who called this home and who are now trying to figure out how they're going to rebuild and what they're going to do from here. I mean, it's just devastating to watch.
It really is. Chelsea, thank you. Look at the smaller picture there of the Santa Monica cam, and it looks like that's even grown even worse in the last couple of minutes, and that's to be expected because the winds are picking up. Joining us, let's welcome to our coverage here, Rick Crawford. I understand, and forgive me if I'm wrong, you're former LAFD battalion chief, sir?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, thank you so much for taking the time out. What do you make of the Palisades fire in all of your time with LAFD? Have you seen anything like this?
So, after having a few decades of career with the Los Angeles Fire Department, actually I have seen this a few different times in this particular area. However, with the winds being, with a 24-hour period of these life-threatening and destructive winds, that's actually the big concerning part here. Usually you have a 3-day or 4-day Santa Ana wind event, but without the winds being so fierce. Winds at this particular time, this fire got a head start. It's jumped now 1,200 acres in such a short period of time, and now you have structures involved, and actually the evacuation piece of this incident is at the top of every incident commander's mind right now. As we get people out of the way and resources in there, the main piece is going to be to save as many homes as possible, and then try and let this fire, try and survive as much as we can over the night, over the fire department overnight time, as the winds hopefully should subside tomorrow around noon. That happens, that puts us in a more advantageous tactical advantage to be able to now start to get this fire under control.
So, I mean, because it just seems like these winds are just relentless, and I mean, give us some perspective from a firefighter's, mindset right now. What can you even do right now?
So, if I put you in the scene of a wind-driven fire is what they call this right now. And when you pull up to a wind-driven fire, there's, as you can see, there's embers and fire brands that are burning. You can't have any exposed skin with your firefighting equipment on, because you will burn. Your eyes are red, your nose is running, it's hard to breathe, and the conditions that you're under are extreme. But one of the things is that the amount of training that these firefighters go through allow them to be able to put themselves in harm's way. The incident commanders have a really robust structured defense plan and keep the firefighters safe. They will put firefighters in harm's way, as you have to when this situation happens. And so they have a very robust structured defense plan. They know where the fire is. They're going to plan ahead to where the fire is going to go and what's in its pathway. One tool the firefighters are using for this wind is what we call Wi-Fire. It's an evacuation tool, and they take into account the weather that's in the area, the wind speed, and the relative humidity, and it spits out a footprint of where this fire is going to go. Those incident commanders are using that footprint right now to determine what the evacuation orders are. And then we send the Sheriff's Department, Los Angeles Police Department to get those people out of the way.
What we've seen a lot of, and I think we're seeing it in some of these live pictures, at least the bottom right, perhaps, where our reporter is there and several homes are on fire and there's no firefighter in sight. We understand that resources are stretched thin of a fire of this magnitude. What's your take on that?
So, the Los Angeles Basin area is what we call a resource-rich area when it comes to fire departments. However, when you have a fire of this magnitude, even though that the weather prediction was for these fierce winds, the amount of resources you have to put onto an incident like this is very critical. However, you still have to provide coverage to the rest of the cities and the rest of the counties that you are, sworn to protect. And so firefighters are in what they call a drawdown mode right now. So they're using minimum resources, or what we call a degraded mode, and so we're using minimum resources to respond to other emergencies and other incidents, and that will free up some additional resources to come to this particular incident. However, right now, the main piece of this is the evacuation, and so, sometimes you will make a decision that you understand there may be a loss of some homes that you just can't get firefighters in front of them in enough time to get themselves set up safely, to be able to make a strong firefight. So you have to let the fire come to a vantage point where it doesn't have such a head of steam as you can see these 100-foot flame links that are coming up these ridges. And so the incident commanders are making some very, very hard leadership decisions to be able to decide, they actually, lives first, property next.
We're also hearing, and we dealt with this a little bit in the mountain fire. I know it's a different county. That was in Ventura County in November, but about some water shortages. Are you hearing any of that with this fire in particular?
Well, in this particular part of Los Angeles, it's in the northwest corner, and so you run into, the Metropolitan Water District in Los Angeles County, and then also DWP, Department of Water and Power in the city of Los Angeles. Water is not the issue really here right now. It's just that the winds, and the fact is that you can't really have aircraft firefighting as part of this. This is a very, very hard type of fire to fly in. So minimum aircraft, the water drops that you do make are going to almost be a bit of a hit or miss, because by the time that water actually starts to get to hit the ground, you will see that it's going to dissipate quickly due to these, 60 to 70 mile an hour winds. I can see right now that there's wind gusts at, up to 52 miles an hour in that particular area. So water, from a water dropping standpoint, would be a little bit ineffective. And so that is causing the firefighters to be at a big, big disadvantage right now.
Yeah, and you mentioned 52-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and those could get even higher as we make our way toward midnight and into the early morning hours of Wednesday. Former LAFD Battalion Chief Rick Crawford, thanks so much for hopping on the line and for your insight tonight.
Anytime.
Back to Fox 11's Matthew Seedorf, who has seen some of the worst devastation. Matthew, I know you've been moving around. Where are you at now?
Yeah, we're outside Palisades Charter High School again, kind of on the other side where the majority of the fire is taking place, just so we can show it to you. It's my understanding this is the baseball field area. There's some lockers, kind of like a field house, and the school is kind of the far side looking out there, so we're not exactly sure how far the flames have spread to the school itself, but the wind is blowing that direction, and it's just hard to see beyond what you're looking at right now because of all of the smoke. Just dealing with all the smoke and the wind out here. Sam, if you want to try to flip it back this direction, just to put it in perspective, we're on the other side of the street. There's another home on fire above us on this hillside, but there's so smoke. Visibility is very low right now. We have seen some firefighters trying to do the best that they can, putting out fires on homes, but for the most part, the school, we're not seeing a lot of firefighter action where we are. We obviously know that they are pretty overwhelmed right now given the situation, and it's just very, very scary for folks out here. Go ahead and send it back to you.
I just want to clarify, Matthew, are these the classrooms that have now caught fire? Because I know earlier it was mainly the athletic fields.
Yeah, we are still on we flipped sides here, but we're by the baseball field, the locker room, and I guess you could call it a field house. I know photojournalist Sam Dubin went to the school. What are we looking at right now, Sam?
So we're on Sunset Boulevard at Temesco Canyon. This is the baseball field area, and those buildings we were showing you are kind of like storage buildings. I think maybe like a dean's office. So I haven't seen the actual classrooms catch on fire, but what's incredible is this across the way. See these fires, these are homes on, I believe, Radcliffe Avenue, which the fire had to jump Temesco Canyon to get to these homes, and it's just absolutely decimated them. I mean, I never thought I would see something like this.
Yeah, to Sam's point, I mean, we've counted, I mean, we've probably lost count of the structures that we've seen burning. It's unbelievable. It's something you never expect, and this is Sam's high school, like so many other people watching. It's just hard to see.
Yeah, it's a very special place. They filmed a lot of TV shows here. Modern Family was shot here. I believe the Legally Blonde movie franchise was shot here. It's the entrance to the school is very familiar to a lot of people if you watch TV and movies. A lot of history here, a lot of celebrities here. Will.i.am was the celebrity that my generation knew from this school. But yeah, a lot of history here at this high school.
Yeah, a lot of background. Let's see if we can walk up this way and kind of show those buildings again. We were at the front of the school that Sam was talking about, and the smoke alarms were going off, but we didn't see active flames on the front end of the school. But again, looking out here, this is the baseball field house, locker room sort of area, and just a wall of flames right now. And you can hear the wind picking up too.
Yeah.
Continues to spread.
Speaking of schools, sorry, I'm stuttering there because I've got a lot of information coming at me right now. Thank you for that live report from Pali Charter High School as the fields there continue to burn. Just getting word that LAUSD announcing that the schools that will be closed tomorrow include Palisades Fire, Canyon Charter Elementary School, Marquez Charter Elementary School, Palisades Charter Elementary School, and Paul Revere Charter Middle School. So they will be monitoring the fire on Wednesday and then potentially shift those campuses to remote learning on Thursday. A couple of points that we learned. The acreage, as you can see on your screen, if you're looking at your screen, has now increased. It went from about 1,300 to more than 2,900 acres, 2,921 acres. That is the latest acreage count from LAFD, still threatening 10,000 homes. Now we are getting word from LAFD that they are so strapped for resources that they're looking for firefighters to call in to this hotline to help in this firefight. That number is on your screen. It is 213-576-8962. So again, LAFD saying we need all firefighters on deck. So if you are watching us right now and you think that you are a firefighter and you are able to help, please give this a call, 213-576-8962. I have to say, in all the years I've been covering these fires, I've never seen a call out like that before.
No, I was just thinking the same thing. I don't remember us ever doing that, putting a phone number for firefighters to respond to, which gives you a sense of the severity of this issue. If you are just joining us, or maybe you're joining us from another network that just went to national broadcast, it's now 6:30, and we are on the air with live local coverage of the Palisades fire. Alex Michelson, Marla Tejas here with you tonight, throughout the night, here on Fox 11, on Fox 11 Plus, streaming on the Fox local app. We want to go to Haley Winslow right now, who has a representative from the fire department to give us the latest information. Haley.
Yeah, I'm sure you recognize this face. This is one of the public information officers for LAFD, firefighter David Ortiz. He's been here all day, obviously, at the forefront of all this. First of all, you know, we see the flames behind your shoulder. It's obviously a little bit frightening as this fire continues to move southwest. What's the latest and what's the plan tonight as we're feeling these winds definitely pick up?
Well, the plan tonight is to put the various strike teams into the neighborhoods that the fire might start new fires. The majority of the head of the body of the fire has burned in various directions. We have zero containment on this fire, and so we have open front all around this fire. All the communities that surround this fire are in a threat. All right, and so because of that threat, it's difficult to pre-stage a fire engine at every single home. So it's a guessing game for us. We have strategically placed fire companies where we think that the fire might go, but we're also keeping mobile and moving these resources around to engage the fire at every opportunity. There's opportunities in certain areas where the fire is not being pushed by the wind because the wind is super strong right now, and we can have all the water in the world and not be able to stop the forward progress of the fire. As you can see, certain spot fires have started in other areas like you see behind us, and once one ember lands into that area, you get a new fire start. And those can carry 1 mile, 2 miles down the road. It's hard to predict. So a lot of people don't see fire around them. around their home, and they have a false sense of security because embers can be cast in all sorts of directions. If you are in the area where an evacuation order was given, it's time to get out. Conditions are going to get worse. Winds are going to pick up. It's dry. It's windy. It's a perfect scenario for a fire.
Yeah, and the National Weather Service still saying that this is on par to be the strongest Santa Anas of the season, and it's looking like, you know, it's expected that you guys are going to be here for several days. During our news conference a little bit ago, we had almost 50-mile-per-hour gusts. You can definitely feel it's really picked up. I know it's definitely, you can feel it, the difference. What would you say to people? I know a couple of friends of mine were trapped in there, and there was a little bit of miscommunication, with trying to be first told to get out and then told not to get out. And obviously there's no signal, so it really complicates things.
Right. So a lot of the evacuations are done neighborhood by neighborhood. If you hear police officers coming through your neighborhood over the PA, it's time to evacuate. Immediately when a fire starts, the first thing we tell folks is to shelter in place and wait for direction, especially during the beginning of the fire, because we don't know what's going to be impacted. When we give an order to evacuate, we don't want to be like Chicken Little and tell people to evacuate an area and get out of an area unless it's absolutely necessary. So until we know where the fire is going, that's when we can give an evacuation order. We have established the direction of the fire, which way the fire is expected to move. We have computer that predetermines and calculates the speed and rate in which the fire is going to be moving, and then we can predict what evacuation orders, what zones we can evacuate. But separate from that, independent from that, we also have areas that are immediately threatened. We don't need the chief or the person in charge of this incident to tell us to evacuate an area. That the division that's running the fire, the chief that's at that scene, at that community, can take independent action and order an evacuation of a community. So if you do hear those police officers over the PA telling you to evacuate, even if they haven't given an evacuation order via the news, or you haven't received one on your phone, you need to get out. A lot of the phone service is intermittent right now, so you might not even receive an evacuation order. When in doubt, if you feel threatened, get out.
Yeah, and I understand there's still definitely some people in there still tonight that are trapped. Our anchor, before you go, I know you're in high demand. Our anchor, Marla Tejas, has a question for you. Marla, go ahead real quick, and I'll relay the information.
We just put out a number for firefighters who are watching to call. This is per LAFD. LAFD saying we really are strapped for resources. Can you put out this number to get us more firefighters? Can you ask him about that and the reality of, you know, what they're up against tonight? Yeah, good question. So this was something we kind of talked about at the presser, that there was something put out that there's not enough firefighters and that you guys need more resources. Now, we heard, I think it was Eric Scott saying that you guys have all boots on the ground. You've got more resources coming overnight. You've got CAL FIRE deployed. And if need be, you can get more boots on the ground, aircraft in the air from other states. What's the plan as these winds continue to strengthen, and what's the reality of the resources that you currently have right now trying to fight this? So for the time being right now, as far as my understanding is that we have adequate resources on this fire. We are limited to our ability to fly because when these winds do pick up, they have to do a risk analysis whether they can fly or not at night. And water drops are ineffective when the winds pick up to a certain point. So it's a risk versus gain. Is it worth risking the lives of those pilots and firefighters in the air to drop water that's ineffective versus trying to figure that out? So our firefighters are out there. They're pre-deployed. We have resources from all over the state that have arrived, and we have these resources in place. The question comes up is, will we have enough resources? Should we have a second or third or fourth brush fire, which is very potential right now? We have low humidity, we have high winds, and a new fire can start anywhere in Southern California, in Riverside, San Bernardino County, etc. So resources are being focused here. But if our resources are stretched, they can be stretched to a certain point where we will not have enough resources. So that is a good point. But for now, we do have adequate resources on this. We have more resources coming, but we do have to rotate our people through and get them rest, get them fed, and then back out on the line.
Now, I have a couple friends who are on the line right now, and they're kind of on standby, and they finally were able to get out. There's a lot of people obviously still trapped, and they have no idea. You know, even with a Ring camera, you have no idea what's going on with your house if there's no signal. So what would be your message tonight for the people still trapped, for the, you know, people who don't know what's going on with their homes? And then this is only one fire. We still have 2 or 3 days left of these winds, you know, and could easily see another one of these pop up.
Yeah, so if you're in doubt, your first priority is the safety of your family. And you have to make that decision whether or not should I stay. This is not your typical fire where you see homeowners with a garden hose and, you know, putting little embers of fire and vegetation around, ornamental vegetation around their house that might catch a small fire. This wind it causes the fire to have extreme fire behavior, and it's explosive. Once you get an ember landing into a fuel bed, it's 100% receptive, and it's off to the races. So if you feel that you're in a community that is threatened by this fire immediately, you're anywhere near around where this fire is, you should be getting out if you're in that evacuation zone. That's why we made that evacuation zone for 30,000 people, because all those people that are surrounding the fire, we have zero control over the fire. The fire can jump the line and can expand beyond where it has established itself.
Thank you very much, Firefighter Ortiz. Be very safe out there tonight.
Thank you.
Now, I know you guys have another briefing at 8 o'clock in the morning. I've got a friend on standby right now we've talked to earlier, him and his wife, and just want to real quickly, Eric, if you could just tell me what it was like trying to get out of that fire with flames on both sides.
Well, it moved so fast. When we got the first time down to the bottom of the road on Palisades Drive, we were turned around by the level of smoke and flames.
Eric, we're going to have to get back to you. I'm sorry. We're going to have to get back to you. I'm sorry. We'll have much more on that coming up in just a little bit. I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Haley, thanks so much. As live look from our Santa Monica cam, and those flames still ferocious as ever. Let's check in with Ed Lascos. He is there right in the village there in the Palisades. Ed?
Yes, Marla, we are right in the heart of now this evacuation zone. LAPD has come by just in the last few minutes, black and white with their loudspeakers say you must evacuate, get out now, head east on Sunset. This is Radcliffe, across is Haverford. It's just a block below Yelson's in the heart of the village here in the Palisades. And there are the burning embers blowing from right to left on your screen. That's one of the new homes. Sadly, we're losing now, going right up in flames. The fire earlier hit the right side, all these homes, at least a half dozen homes, and then with the winds blowing crosswind, gusts coming through it, even howling, it's blowing all those embers and those homes on the other side, now pitching as well. We finally saw, since we've been here the last couple of hours, 2 fire engines coming down. They run around the bend, and one of them backed up and actually left the location and is redeployed a couple blocks over. The other one is around the bend because they're trying to get ahead of this fire, ahead of the embers as they are blowing across ways, heading down east. Now, it's interesting because LAPD, this area mostly as we've been here has been evacuated. You just have a lot of looky-loos coming through. But LAPD coming out saying with that grim warning, a mandatory evacuation, get out now, head east on Sunset. That is the way. West on Sunset takes you to Temescal. Over in that area, through all the smoke, is about a block or two over Temescal. That is Palisades High School. We've already seen that has been burning as the flames and the embers move this way. And Mikey gives you a look. Look what's left of these homes. These were homes that had been here looking probably for several decades in this beautiful area, tree-lined street here in the Palisades. Now smoldering rubble, and those embers from the flames just picking up, going over, and we've got at least 2 homes on the far left-hand side burning as the fire continues to spread to the east side, and that is the big concern here. But at least this area, just a block south of Gelson's itself, if you're familiar with this, we're right in the heart of the village. It's now under that evacuation mandatory order with LAPD going street to street, block by block on their loudspeakers and saying, get out now. And if you're leaving, head east on Sunset. That is the way. Mike, you want to take, we have a quick second, and I think we're okay here. Let's go down and give you an idea of look how ferocious these winds are. This is something also that we're watching out because LAPD has been telling about all the looky-loos. You have a lot of down lines, and you've got to make sure because they could be energized, which would be very, very dangerous, deadly. So they've been on their loudspeakers as well saying stay away. But look at this devastation down Radcliffe here off Haverford. My goodness, looks like a bomb blew through here. This was a beautiful 3-story home a couple of hours ago. Nothing but smoldering rubble, and the embers blowing across right to left. You can feel the intense heat as you walk through here. Here's one home that is fully engulfed. And right to the left of it, Mikey, you see some flames up on the top of the roof. That home, we're losing that home too as the winds come through and the embers blow through here. Right in the heart of this firestorm. Again, the winds with those embers blowing through. You can also see how the winds are picking up. And here comes a fire truck right around. Finally coming through here. We're seeing some firefighters moving in here, probably trying to get some water on, trying to control these embers as they're blowing through, because you have this out of control fire and the winds blowing across. They'll blow across to the next block. Further east, and you've got more spot fires, and that's the big concern. Marla, Alex, you were talking about a call for LA City firefighters. Look at this, Long Beach Fire Department, Engine 10, pulling in here to try to help out with this firefight. So we've got folks from Long Beach. I saw some earlier from Glendale coming in here. So it's an all-out firefight. Everybody hands on deck, mutual aid, helping LA City Fire. And this home we are losing as these embers blow through here. This is the home right next to the one that's fully engulfed. And here come the firefighters as they try to figure out their line of attack. And at this point, I don't think they're going to be able to save this home, unfortunately, but trying maybe to control the spread of embers. And I'm thinking doing structure protection on the home right next to it. That's what he's talking about, structure protection right over here to keep those flames from jumping across this two-story home as you're right in the middle of this firefight here on Radcliffe, just off Haverford. It looks, I don't have the words. Bomb, war zone. Look at this. These homes, beautiful, stood here for decades through this area, now smoldering. You got the embers and the wind still blowing from west to east, and that's the problem. This home is gone. Started with some shrubbery burning out front a little while ago, and bang, just like that, it is up in flames. Good. And here we got the firefighters. That's what they're talking about here. They want to try to do some structure protection. This home, though, has already got fire burning on the top of its roof, but they're going to try to get some water on it to keep those embers from burning to the home next to it. But this is a good sign in the sense, since we've been here the last couple of hours, these are the first firefighters we've actually seen move in here with an engine and try to get some control on this. And this is Engine 10 from the city of Long Beach, not LA City Fire.
Yeah, we finally have some firefighters.
Finally getting a lot of first line.
To come all the way from
We've actually seen some water going up to the top of that roof, trying to get this house down, trying to control those embers through here. Again, this is an area in the village, the heart of the village, where LAPD just went by a little while ago with their black and whites telling everybody it's a mandatory evacuation. Get out, run out now, and head east on Sunset. Evacuate. It is unsafe to be here. I would think most of the folks that have already left. There was that big log jam of traffic a couple of hours ago, so most folks were already gone. But as this fire moves in this direction with those embers and the winds blowing very strongly from west to east, from Temescal and Palisades High, over further in this direction over to Chautauqua, that is the concern. They've been trying to get a lot of the folks out. Seemingly they all are, and now we've got some structure protection here. And first line on this home, which is burning on the up top the rooftop. Look at that, the upstairs area burning because the home next to it is gone. Just like that, these winds, a big gust came through a little while ago. Embers, a sea of embers, hit some of the shrubs on fire, and the home went up just like that, and now the home next to it is burning, and that is the concern. Now, see, look, we talk about the embers. Look at this tree. See these embers? If they catch onto the tree like that, the tree starts burning, you got more embers flying, and that's why it's just so very hard to control anything like this as this fire roars through here with the wind propelling it through. But finally, some firefighters through here, and engine comes along.
I mean, this is just a reminder of how so often this is kind of the luck of the draw. How lucky this Blue Homes homeowner is that this is when the fire department finally shows up. Firefighters had to come all the way from Long Beach to do this, and that home could end up being saved by this. But these homes, just because of there wasn't anybody there, they are total losses. So many of them on this street. Hopefully that this particular street can start going in the other direction. But it's a reminder, Marla, as we see the fire crews from Long Beach, that the winds are supposed to get worse, not only in Pacific Palisades, but all over Southern California. And there's nothing to stop another fire like this from starting somewhere else.
Unfortunately, I have this news just coming across from LA County Fire Department and the Angeles National Forest. They are responding to a new brush fire burning in the Eaton Canyon area above Altadena. So at this point, it just started, no word on acreage. But again, firefighters from both LA County Fire and Angeles National Forest responding to a new brush fire in Altadena, above Altadena in the Eaton Canyon area. So that's what we were just talking about with the gentleman from LAFD saying that, you know, we have resources here, but what happens when another fire breaks out?
Right. And I've been seeing some messages of people saying that they're seeing fire from Pasadena, so that makes sense that that would be that fire. And, you know, we'll see about getting eyes on it. It's a little bit challenging for us because of to fly the chopper tonight, not only because of the winds, but also because of some flight restrictions because of President Biden still being in Southern California. So it may be challenging for us to get eyes on that. But if you're watching us and you have video of that or are seeing that, please send it to us via social media, tag us, tweet it at us, all the rest of it. Be interesting to see what that fire is starting to look like. Hopefully it's nothing close to this. Hopefully that fire stays out, you know, in vegetation and away from homes. What's so bad about this Palisades fire is, as you can see, it has impacted so many structures. Christy Fajardo has been seeing all that up close for several hours now. She joins us now. Go ahead.
Oh, I know.
Christy, you're on. I don't know if you can hear us. Christy, you're on. I don't know if you can hear us.
Hey, so just literally seconds ago, we heard a very loud boom, and it was a tree coming down, and it hit those power lines.
Whoa.
You can see them sparking. We're trying to get away from them. This is a very, very dangerous situation that firefighters are dealing with, and there was actually an LAPD cruiser going through just as that tree came down, barely missed hitting it. And I want to pan this way and show you, we're actually at Antioch and Swarthmore, and there are buildings here on fire, and these palm trees really underscore the danger. They look beautiful, but when you get those rains of ember, this is what happens. A lot of these trees catch fire very easily. The wind also knocks down some of the palm fronds, and that catches fire everything, or lights on fire everything beneath it. In fact, if we pan down, you can see there are some palm fronds on fire there on the sidewalk. And still, we're seeing people evacuating. Again, the LAPD just came through. They were on the megaphone. They were telling people to leave, and we're hearing booms. I don't know if you just heard that all around us. It appears to be transformers catching fire and blowing up. And again, very hazardous and dangerous situation that we are witnessing firsthand here at Swarthmore in Antioch. And to give you some perspective, we did not even move that far. When you came out to us live the last time, we were about a block and a half away at Sunset and Via de la Paz, and drive a block, and this is what you see. So firefighters really have a monster fight on their hands. Right now, we're not seeing any resources here, but again, we are seeing LAPD officers, and we need to get out of here. So I'm going to send it back to you.
Okay, Christy, be safe. That's the most important thing. Do your thing. We'll get back to you when it is safe to do so. And you know, it's a very real threat for her, for the firefighters that are out there, and a reminder why the safest thing for people to do is to listen to the mandatory evacuation orders. Part of the reason that we are there is to be documenting and do so in a safe way, often in conjunction with the fire department. We train for this sort of situation with them multiple times a year to go through this in a safe way, but this is one of the worst situations that we've seen in many, many years here.
This is a live look, pardon me, not a live look, this is a map per CAL FIRE, and it gives you sort of a sense of the Palisades fire. Last check, not long ago, CAL FIRE updated the acreage to 2,921 acres, so just under 3,000 acres have burned so far. And then we're just getting word about a new fire that's broken out above Altadena. We've seen some images of it. This is in the Eaton Canyon area. LA County Fire is on this one, and the Angeles National Forest also battling this fire. We do have Gina Silva, our reporter. She is headed to that Altadena area fire to bring you the latest there. Here's a live picture. This is our Santa Monica cam. Those flames very active still, and they will continue to be so. Let's check in with our chief meteorologist, Adam Kruger, for the latest on those winds. Adam.
Yes, we have a lot to talk about here. I'm going to start, though, with the three main takeaways. If you're just kind of like joining in late today on the coverage, you know we've been on for hours and hours with what's going on. But the three main takeaways is the fact that the winds are going to peak later on tonight. I'd say 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. tomorrow is going to be our most concerning window where the winds will be strongest. And also, the humidity goes down even more tomorrow, a little bit drier tomorrow. And also worth noting that extreme conditions like what we've been seeing in the Pacific Palisades are actually widespread and occurring over a large part of Southern California. And, you know, I hope there are no more fires, but I was just thinking a moment ago before we heard about the one a little north of Pasadena, and we don't know to the extent of that one yet, but I was just thinking, like, I'm almost surprised there's not more going on, and it seems there might be just happening right now. All right, so now to get a little sciencey before we dive into the specific wind forecasts and humidity forecasts, I want to share with you why we expect tonight the winds to peak a little bit. So we've got a setup in the atmosphere a little bit higher up. You may have heard of the jet stream. So those are the fast-moving winds that are a couple miles above where we live down here at the surface. And right now the jet stream kind of follows this path like this. And there's a little burst, a strong part of the jet stream just on the north or northwest side of this low. And that's getting lined up right over our area. That's adding an extra boost to the winds. That's happening right around 9 to 10 o'clock tonight. And it's within this white circle right here. Now, as that low moves farther south, notice this is noon tomorrow, then that most intense part of the winds a little higher up in the atmosphere starts going south of us. But that's why through the night tonight and tomorrow morning, we have that extra enhancement to the wind speeds. And that's why, again, the peak is really, I'd say, 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. for tomorrow morning. Now, we have the red flag warning. No surprise, that's in effect for just about all of Southern California for Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday. A part of Los Angeles and L.A. County is carved out of that, but all these other areas continue on Thursday in a red flag warning. And the National Weather Service has a fire weather watch in effect for these areas in orange on Friday, which means on Friday, this may turn into a red flag warning, which gives you an idea that we're looking at a prolonged Santa Ana wind event. The strongest winds, though, you know that, will be tonight and into tomorrow morning. We have the high wind warnings expiring at 6 p.m. tomorrow. After that point, the severity of the winds will be backing down, but still, it's an offshore wind, a dry wind, dry conditions, and gusty all the way potentially into Friday. Now onto the future gusts, which is the forecast wind gusts, and I'll remind you that gusts will be the burst of wind at times. So not like sustained winds, not an average wind speed, but just how strong it could burst at certain moments. And as we started at 7 o'clock, you're going to notice when I go from 7 p.m. to 9 a.m., a pretty drastic increase in the forecast wind speeds. So look at this. We've got 50s and 60s on the map. Anywhere you see purple is 35 and above, but obviously you see some numbers that are higher than that. And again, we mentioned this was breaking just a short time ago, 5 minutes ago or so. We learned of a fire, a brush fire, a little bit north of Pasadena. So that's another spot to watch. And look what the forecast wind gusts that are there at about 9 o'clock tonight, along with the Pacific Palisades. The other thing worth noting here is the wind direction. We've seen the winds pretty consistently out of the north or out of the north-northeast. So kind of like this direction, you see the streamlines going right here. We expect that wind direction to pretty much be the same throughout this event, which means, you know, if you're watching from, let's say, Santa Monica, I know this fire is not that far off, but keep in mind the winds are not blowing this towards Santa Monica. That would be a northwest wind. This is more north to northeast wind, and we expect that wind direction to kind of hold the way it is right now. All right, now as we go later into the night, you can see 2 o'clock in the morning. Again, intense winds just take over a large part of the map here through the night. Here's 4 a.m. Still the same story. Some spots might see gusts over 60. There's a lot of 60s on the map there. Here we go into 11 a.m. tomorrow. Still very windy, but I think at this point we are just over the peak of this, just over the hump, and then winds will start to back off gradually. Still gusty in some spots, but winds start to come down as we get into late day Wednesday. Here's a look at 8 p.m. So that's just after the high wind warning will expire. The other thing I want to share with you, the relative humidity, we've seen it below 20% in some spots today. Look what happens as we go into tomorrow. As again, these winds get stronger tonight into tomorrow morning, and then we have this to deal with. The air gets even drier tomorrow with relative humidity below 10%. So this is about as ideal of a setup you can have for wildfires to spread rapidly if one were to start. And we've seen a few instances of some fires already breaking out. We really just need to be very careful. Pay close attention to what we're telling you here. I know we're going to be on air for several more hours. I believe the plan is we're going to go just through the night with all this. So we'll keep you posted here on Fox 11. Marla, back to you.
Yeah.
All right, Adam, thank you very, very much. We want to take you now. This is the Santa Monica cam. This is the Palisades fire. But we do have a look at the new fire that popped up.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, this is from our Mount Wilson camera. This is above Altadena. So near Pasadena as well. And this is being called the Close Fire. It's burning about 20 acres so far, with the possibility of spreading to 500 acres in probably no time, given the winds out there. And again, this is being fought by LA County Fire Department and the Angeles National Forest. So two of the agencies there are the lead response agencies as it relates to what's being called the Close Fire. Again, 20 acres with the potential of spreading to 500 acres quickly.
Okay, so maybe we can take that picture on the top left full for a second, and we can talk about what's happening here. That's a time-lapse video. Let's look at this. It's a time-lapse video that shows the progress of that fire burning an Eaton Canyon. So you can see the rapid growth of it. Obviously, it's not in color, but it gives you a sense of what's happened. And now we go back to that live picture from the Mount Wilson camera, which is in color. Maybe we can take a look at that full, and you get a sense of the size of this. It is called the Close Fire. I mean, that shot from Mount Wilson is one of the most picturesque ones that we have in terms of our live picture arsenal. But tonight, that very ominous fire there. The good news where it is burning right now is not right where homes are, but we know how quickly embers can move, and so that is another scary reality. And we also know that there are just so many firefighters that we have, and if we start having fires in all different directions, there just simply aren't enough people to fight them. Let's go back now to Pacific Palisades. That's where Matthew Seedorf is for us live with a look at his vantage point, and all around you now, Matthew, flames.
Yeah, you can we're surrounded by flames, but keep hearing those loud bangs. Like, it just sounds like firecrackers just going off, bang, bang. Right now you can see the homes right near Palisades Charter High School. Several homes on fire, if not destroyed already. And then, Sam, if you want to point up to the light, just so people can see the smoke just blowing, just look how fast it's going. I mean, that's something you see. I've covered hurricanes on the coast. That's what you see with hurricanes in the rain, just all of that wind just blowing all this smoke. It's pretty remarkable to see. And Sam, if you want to walk with me outside the high school, we're going to look kind of out towards the football field. Looks like there's a structure burning over there. And we talked about just being surrounded by flames, but it's just all around the football stadium. We saw the press box on fire, and we want to see, because we've seen the other side of the high school. We saw the other side of the high school with the flames on the baseball field and the field house, the locker rooms, and this is the main entrance to the school. And just see, we did see some fire here a little while ago, and I just want to get a quick look and show you guys kind of what we're seeing at the front of the school. Yeah, you can see the flames coming in from this direction, getting closer to the school. Just definitely a scary situation. I'll go ahead and send it back to you.
Matthew Seedorf, thank you very much. It is now the top of the hour. Alex Michelson, Marla Tejas, for one of the most dangerous and destructive fire events in recent memory here in Southern California.
Thank you so much for being with us as we bring you this wall-to-wall coverage. The two of us have been on the air since 2:30. We will not leave your side tonight. We're now broadcasting live on Fox 11 and Fox 11 Plus, simulcast, of course. So thank you for being with us. If you want the latest information on our app, that's the Fox Local app, a great resource, especially in a crisis like we're seeing in the Pacific Palisades. Let's get you the latest numbers as it relates to this fire that broke out at 10:30 this morning. More than 2,900 acres, 2,921 acres burned, according to CAL FIRE. 0% contained. It is 100% out of control right now. 30,000 people have been placed under mandatory evacuation orders. 10,000 homes do remain threatened. These images here of the cars literally stacked on top of each other nearly and looking like bumper cars. This was a scene earlier where people abandoned their vehicles, and as a result, LA Fire came in with their bulldozers and bulldozed all those cars off to the side to make access for those first responders.
Yeah, there was apparently nowhere for the fire crews to go. It was kind of like a domino effect, and so they ended up having to move those cars away like toys. So we want to show you some time-lapse video that gives you a perspective of the rapid growth of this fire, which started around 10:30 this morning and then just exploded and continues to explode tonight. 0% containment, and it doesn't look like we're anywhere close to starting that containment process because the winds, as we've been reporting, are only going to get worse. And this fire is burning at the same time as another fire is burning, at least one more fire. That one is in Altadena, which can be seen from the Pasadena area. But man, when it gets dark, Marla, you really see how ominous it is. And this is that live picture right now from our Mount Wilson cam looking at that fire in Eaton Canyon in the Altadena area, and people in that area, San Gabriel Valley, are concerned when they're looking at those images right now.
Yeah, this one here is noted as the close fire, and we do have Gina Silva. She's on the ground. She'll be heading there to bring you a live report. Just as soon as she arrives, we will bring that to you. In the meantime, let's check in with Chelsea Edwards, who's been reporting live for us along PCH, and you've just seen homes burn to the ground.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Marla, we're going to add to that number so far. So where we have been standing for a while, we've been watching these homes on Terrace Circle go up in flames. There's been at least 5 that have gone up. We just watched the last one on that terrace burn to the ground. But now, unfortunately, we're able to see in the distance there, south on PCH, we've got some smoke covering it now. There's another structure somewhere in the distance that is burning. But also across on this side on PCH, we've been talking about how there are no homes on this side. There are some structures, though, that we're able to see now that they're lit up. Those are, we believe, the public bathrooms that are right in that area along the beach that are currently on fire. So that happened within the last 5 to 10 minutes, and that whole thing is just going up. We haven't seen any firefighting efforts in that area or here at all since we've been here in this particular part of PCH, which means that everything in this area is just, you know, if the flames come to it, it's burning. I've been talking to the homeowner, one of the homeowners here in this mobile park. He says there may be as many as 187 homes in this one mobile home park, but that there's several others in this area. Now, we don't have a clear idea yet whether that many homes in this particular area have burned, but that's what we're looking at. I mean, that's the reality that we're facing here. These homes are very tight together, these mobile home parks. You know, the structures are very close together, and once one goes up, if there's no mitigation efforts, you know, the others go up as well. So we're watching this burn to the ground. You know, we've been able to see all these homes on Terrace Circle burn. Not clear how many behind it have burned, but it could be a lot. Let's take a look again, Elliot, if we look down on PCH, that public bathroom. So that's a relatively large structure, and that was lit up quite a bit a little while ago, but you can see those flames coming off of it. Look where the wind is pushing it. So the wind is still pushing everything to the west toward the ocean. For a while there, it turned back on us. So we were standing here, and all of a sudden it shifted very quickly. We were getting knocked around, our camera was getting knocked around, and the smoke was just coming directly in our direction. That seems to have shifted now to the opposite, and I think that kind of speaks to just how chaotic this is, and that we just don't know where it's going to go. And every time the wind shifts, these embers get carried to a different area. They can possibly light up different homes, like what we're seeing right now here along PCH. And then we've got more homes on fire with really not enough resources to be able to tackle it, to do property, to save these properties, unfortunately. So again, we're seeing at least one more home in the distance, but just with the numbers of this mobile home park, if this gentleman is correct, and there are 187 mobile homes back there, if that whole thing is flattened, these numbers are going to be very different from when we wake up tomorrow morning from what we heard at the last press conference. So certainly keep an eye on that, but just devastating to watch. That homeowner is still here watching his neighborhood burn, and he just said, I don't have anywhere to go. I have nothing left. He didn't have insurance on it. There's nothing left he can do. So it's just, it's a devastating situation for so many people right now.
That is just absolutely heartbreaking. I'm sure he knows this. There are the evacuation centers. He probably doesn't want to go there. He probably feels you know, a sense of security being close to where his home was. So those evacuation centers are at Westwood Rec Center in Westwood between Wilshire and Ohio on Sepulveda, and there's another one at the Dream Center, and there's various ones if you have large animals. Pierce College, for instance, and Woodland Hills will accept large livestock. And by the way, American Red Cross is set up in conjunction with the Westwood Rec Center evacuation.
And the Agora Animal Shelter is accepting smaller animals right now, so that's a place to bring them if you need to do that. Okay. So let's bring in our chief meteorologist, Adam Kruger, and let's talk about those winds. And when we talk about Santa Ana winds, what that means, right, is that they're blowing towards the ocean instead of away from the ocean. We much prefer away from the ocean, and that's why we are literally seeing the flames go all the way up to the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, and you know, it's the interaction of the wind direction and the mountains and what happens with the winds when they come over the mountains and go downhill. I mean, essentially, that's why the geography is the way it is in Southern California, why the deserts are on the other side of the mountains. Is usually the prevailing wind, the common wind, would be blowing onshore. It goes over the mountains, and we have super dry air up towards the deserts. But what formed the deserts is basically happening right now around a lot of the LA area on the ocean side of the mountains. So, yes, Santa Ana winds, it's offshore, and usually when they're very strong like this, it's usually an extreme scenario, not just with the wind speeds, but also the very, very dry air. We talked earlier about how the humidity actually goes lower tomorrow than what it is right now. So we've got a couple of things working against us here. I'll keep showing you this. We've mentioned it many times here tonight, but as we look at the future wind gusts, which means how strong the winds could be bursting at times, doesn't mean sustained winds, doesn't mean it's an average wind speed over several minutes, but just a gust, a burst of wind could get up to some of the numbers you see right here. And as we go from around the current time, starting off at 8 o'clock into 10 o'clock, you're going to see just in those couple of hours a pretty drastic change and increase in the wind speeds here. And notice the wind direction also, because yes, the Santa Ana wind is offshore, meaning blowing towards the ocean, but we can have Santa Ana winds that sometimes come from the northwest or from the north or from the northeast or straight from the east. In this situation, these winds are mostly going to be from the north or from the northeast, and that's what we've been seeing on a lot of the weather instruments so far. We really don't expect that wind direction to change too much, so keep in mind with the Pacific Palisades fire, the smoke and the embers are getting blown basically towards the ocean, not down towards, let's say, Brentwood or Santa Monica or even south of there. We don't expect that wind direction to change much as we go through the night. But the wind speed's really, really high. We also mentioned earlier, now we're tracking another fire. This is in a rural area north of Pasadena. At the moment, not threatening homes, but you see the direction the winds are blowing. It is blowing everything south, so it's certainly something to keep an eye on through the night. Here we are, 2 o'clock in the morning. Look at these numbers here. I mean, this is just, it's widespread and it's intense. This is the most extreme wind event of the season, and that's saying something because we've seen already a couple of extreme wind events, one in November, one in December. Here we go into 4 o'clock in the morning. It still is just about as strong as it gets out of this whole thing. Here we go into 8 o'clock in the morning. Still some gusts over 60. And then notice how kind of late night, early morning, the LA area actually starts to get filled in a little bit more with some of those stronger winds as well. So you take just the fire threat out of this, and it's a damaging wind event, to say the least. I mean, there is going to likely be some type of wind damage. I'm getting messages from people of like trash cans blowing around in their neighborhood, and all that is happening. We saw the live shot earlier with Christy, who the tree fell near here, near her, and power lines, you know, sparked and everything. And sometimes that's how these fires start, right? It's the strong wind knocking down a tree onto power lines. But that's another thing just to be very, very cautious of as these wind speeds ramp up tonight, if possible. I mean, your home is where your home is, right? But if possible, avoid some of those larger trees. We may start to see some trees come down across Southern California. Now, here we go into midday tomorrow. And this is the point where we're going to be over the hump, over the peak of all this, because this peaks tonight through tomorrow morning. By noon tomorrow, it's still windy, it's still dangerous, it's still critical fire conditions, but we're just past what we would call the peak of all this. And then as we go a little later into the day tomorrow, 6 p.m. is a time frame we're looking forward to, because that's when the high wind warning will end. And you see what happens here, wind speeds are backing down. But another thing worth noting, I'm just going to come over here and switch to a different graphic, is that we've got several days of concerning Santa Ana wind conditions. So as we switch to the advisories and the warnings right now, Red flag warnings, that's in this magenta color, coat just about all the area. And that's for Tuesday, today, and for Wednesday. But as we go a little farther ahead into Thursday, notice part of Los Angeles is carved out of that, and a little bit along the coast for Orange County as well. But still Thursday, all these areas are under a red flag warning. And now the National Weather Service for Friday has also added these areas in orange in a fire weather watch, which means these locations could switch over to a red flag warning on Friday. We don't expect the winds to be as strong as what we're dealing with right now, but still an offshore Santa Ana wind will be an issue at that time. And then I just want to highlight, as we're going through the warnings here, highlight one more thing. Here's the high wind warning, pretty much the entire area. It's that yellow color for the extreme winds. That's in effect, like we said, until 6 p.m. on Wednesday. And like I mentioned earlier, the air actually does get a little drier tomorrow as well. Very concerning fire weather setup. And like I said, it's not just the fire risk, but strong winds. I mean, this is a damaging wind event. There's going to be wind damage kind of scattered all across Southern California that we'll get a good sense of by the end of all this, I think. We'll head back to you.
Adam Kruger, thank you so much. We want to put up this information on the screen right now, give you a sense of where the evacuations areas are. So this is a map from CAL FIRE that shows where the Palisades fire is. It gets you in perspective. A lot of people know Riviera Country Club, not too far away. Will Rogers State Beach is where they have been staging the emergency crews. That's where they did the press conference earlier. They thought that was far enough away to be in the safe zone. But this whole area, Topanga Beach, near PCH, and because of those winds that Adam was talking about, we have seen a lot of this fire move from that top of that hill, moving down towards Pacific Coast Highway, towards the ocean. Obviously, nowhere to burn once you hit the ocean. The Brentwood area, Brentwood Country Club, Brentwood Country Mart, all the rest of that, so far seems to be okay. A lot of smoke, scary to see the fire that closely, but Adam has talked about not a lot of risk of the fire moving into that direction, although with embers you never quite know.
We do have it. Can we bring up the Mount Wilson camera? I know our focus, of course, is on the Palisades fire, but we're getting some new information, which is pretty alarming about the other fire. This is it. This is per the Angeles National Forest. Now they've renamed it. We were told it was the Close Fire. Now, according to Angeles National Forest, it's the Eaton Fire in Altadena. It's grown to 200+ acres, and evacuations are underway. So there are homes and direct line to now what's being called the Eaton Fire, again, in Altadena. So 200+ acres. United States, the Forest Service, Pasadena, LA County Fire, they are all responding as well. So now we have 2 active fires that are threatening homes. We hate to have to report that. We do have Gina Silva. She is headed to this fire, again, in Altadena, known as the Eaton Fire. And then we do have people who work at the Mount Wilson area. And I'm being told from a colleague that those employees of ours are now being told to evacuate as well. Atop Mount Wilson.
That means the Mount Wilson, which is responsible for so much communication, not only for our station, but for many different assets, potentially could be in danger. Okay, we want to show you something from a few hours ago. A sense of what some of our reporters have been up against. This is a report from our reporter Matthew Seedorf and photographer Sam Dubin in the Pacific Palisades area as the flames really got going. Take a look.
You can see we can walk across the street. This is towards the football stadium. I believe that is the score box on fire as we're going to turn this way with all these embers flying. I do have an anemometer with me. It's measuring winds gusting to 35-40 miles per hour with flames on the other side of the street as well. Let's see if we can push this way. And I'm actually with photojournalist Sam Dubin. You went to this high school, Sam. If you don't mind, what's this like?
It's heartbreaking. This is my alma mater. The baseball field's totally gone. Some of the buildings are gone. This house across the street's gone. This is the newer aquatic center, the Maggie Gilbert Aquatic Center. Looks okay right now. The classrooms appear okay, but it's just heartbreaking for everyone who went to this school. A lot of people have gone here over the years.
Yeah, I can't imagine just seeing buildings have burned down, and just this thick black smoke. Again, winds, it just stings because of all this debris flying around. Looking at my anemometer, gust 25 miles an hour right now, but we've seen probably close to 40. It's hard to put this into words, seeing this home up here on fire and all these other structures and even a high school. I'll go ahead and send it back to you.
All right, that was such a precarious, dangerous situation, and so sad to see all of those who...
Even a high school. I'll go ahead and send it back to you.
All right, that was such a precarious, dangerous situation, and so sad to see all of those who have gone to that high school, and let's hope that the classrooms are still standing. It was the athletic fields that took the brunt. We now want to show you what has really captivated us today, and that is this scene. This is when people literally abandoned their vehicles trying to escape the flames. And as a result, LA Fire came in with their bulldozers because they couldn't get through, and they literally bulldozed all of these vehicles off to the side to make way for the route to allow those first responders to get through. Let's go ahead and listen to some of the sound that we got surrounding this scene.
So questions about abandoned cars, that's a good question that has come up. Law enforcement assists us heavily with evacuation, but please remember it's an active incident. We don't have the answers to all of these questions. We will certainly look at that. That's very important. I don't know if police felt like they wanted to make a mention to evacuations. Here. Okay.
Yeah, just on that question of evacuations, vehicles left in the roadway. If you have to leave a vehicle in the roadway, get it as far off the road as you can so that emergency vehicles can't get by. The gist of moving them with bulldozers was an emergency situation. You got to get those fire resources through, and they do what they have to do to be able to facilitate that. So we're asking really for the cooperation, and think a couple of steps ahead. It's not just your vehicle there, but then others line up behind you as well as they see what you're doing. And so I can't stress enough, please follow the evacuation orders. Do your best to be able to get out to safety. Bring the equipment you will need for the next couple of days with you, because as you've heard over and over again, this is not going to end very quickly.
No, it's not, as we expect the winds, if you can believe it, to get even worse later tonight and into early tomorrow as well.
And we heard from a woman who was in that abandonment, in that her and her husband were in separate vehicles, because a lot of people have asked us on social, why did they abandon their cars? And she laid it out plainly and said that all of the traffic was trying to get through, and the flames were really close, and it was gridlock. And so at which point it was, you know, life over your car. And so they left their vehicles there, and they've just stacked up, obviously. It's like dominoes. So that gives you a better idea of what really happened.
So that becomes a story of sort of crowd dynamics and mob mentality as well. Ed Lascos has had these remarkable pictures, and Ed, good to see a firefighter there. Is this the same Long Beach crew that we saw earlier?
Yeah, you're right about that. It's Engine 10, City of Long Beach. They moved in. The first fire engines we've seen on this entire area, this entire block of Antioch and Haverford. They've been busy getting a couple of hose lines on these two homes up here on the east side of Antioch and Radford, as the winds have been blowing the embers. The west side, look at that on the other side of the fire truck. They're all gone. Those homes, nothing but a smoldering chimney on the other side, and it's been the embers being pushed by these winds that have been blowing over here, lighting these homes on fire. And in the back, they were trying to shut down a fire that's over here. This home, remember last time we saw you about 20 minutes ago, it was just smoldering on the rooftop area. Now look, the fire has moved into the second floor, first floor. This home is burning, and the home right next to it also. That one we're looking at, they've been doing structure protection on the one to the left, but I was going to say the one on the right we lost that one, unfortunately, about 40 minutes ago. The embers came by and just lit it right up. very fast, and the fire engines here, watch out, we're going to get some water through here. They've got blasting the hoses, trying to put out some of these hot spots, but this home, unfortunately, they got here just as this one was smoldering. We thought maybe by chance they might be able to save it. Unfortunately not, but they're trying to damp it down. But at least finally, after we've been here for several hours and watched these embers blowing and everything else, and torrent of water comes as they're trying to hit these hot spots here. Finally, we see an engine coming in, and as we've been talking about it, Marla and Alex, not from LA City, LA County, City of Long Beach, coming in with their engine to try to help out, trying to shut down this area. And this has really been like one of the hot spots of many, if you will, no pun intended, as this fire roared across, jumped across Sunset, and moved down here to the east of Temescal, losing these homes. Now they're burning. Mikey will give you a look on the other side. It really started over here on the west side. These were the first homes that went. And my goodness, it's like a bomb hit this area here. Home after home, right along as you head down to PCH. Just went up in a matter of seconds, right before our eyes. Smoldering rubble. You see the embers still blowing as the breeze blows through here, and that's a continuing problem. The embers continue to blow to the east, and you have more spot fires down 100, 200, 300 yards away, something that's almost impossible for firefighters to control. There's a chimney, or what's left of that home. Incredible. And then it's jumped across. Now you have these homes burning over here. One that's loud. Well, there's actually two as I look around the bend, 2 or 3 around the bend to the right off camera. The one right in front of us. And then the firefight that they're basically trying, well, they're not going to be able to save the one to the left. It is just fully engulfed in flames, although they're hitting you with water, some lines now on the bottom and also up top, but also trying to dampen down those embers because they're trying to save the homes to the immediate left and also the homes on the backside to the far east. But it shows you this firefight here, and it's basically out of control. One engine doing whatever they can. God bless them, but with these flames and the embers that are blowing up in the sky, look at that. If you go all the way up top, Mikey, the embers just blow up in the smoke and the wind that swirls around, and they go up, follow down along to further east, and it's a battle, maybe a battle you just can't win when you have winds like this, unfortunately.
No, it is not a fair firefight by any stretch. It's just absolutely devastating. Okay, thank you so much, Ed. Let's go to Christy Fajardo. She has a similar scene. And last time we saw you, we had to let you go because of the dangerous power lines that were nearby.
Yeah, no, unfortunately we saw a tree come down, narrowly missing an LAPD cruiser and then taking down a power line, and it just started arcing and sparking everywhere. We did have to get out of there, but I want to show you, we're actually on Swarthmore near La Cruz Drive, and this is Palisades Charter Elementary, and sadly it is on fire. And even around the corner there are several buildings on fire, and down the street as well, and there are no firefighters, not a single one in sight. I know that there is a lot of firefighting resources right now at Sunset and Via de la Paz. Excuse me, it's having a little trouble talking. Because we were there earlier, and there were 2 massive apartment complexes that were on fire, and firefighters were trying to put it out. And as they were putting that out, a spot fire started at a home around the corner. I did flag down firefighters, let them know, but they said that they were too busy evacuating those massive complexes, and they just didn't have firefighters to spare to go tend to that house. And we're seeing time and time again tonight where buildings are burning, homes are burning, in this case a school is burning, and there are no firefighting resources in sight or to be spared. And sadly, this is what we're watching right now. One of the culprits that we're seeing over and over tonight are these palm trees. Embers fly, they catch the palm fronds on fire, and this is what we see immediately following that. In fact, if we pan upward, you'll see that this palm tree is on fire. So is the one right next to it. And the real issue is that those embers are now up high, and if the if gusts come through, they blow them and start multiple spot fires. And Gino, if we pan around the other way, we can show you that something else just caught fire down the street. So terrible, terrible scene to witness, but sadly this is what we're seeing tonight. Let's send it back to you.
Christy, thank you. I want to give you a moment to catch your breath, and sometimes it's been helpful to just listen into the picture every once in a while and get a sense of how windy it is. So maybe we can listen to Gino Arias's picture to get a sense of how intense it is out there.
you lose IFB?
And you think of that school and all the memories and all the kids and everything else, and how now parents are going to have to explain to these young kids about what happened here. So sad as we're looking at Palisades Charter Elementary School right now in flames. We've also seen the Pali High also in flames tonight.
Let's go ahead and check in with Chelsea Edwards. She's along PCH where she's seen entire mobile home parks go up in flames. Chelsea?
And more than that, honestly, it doesn't feel real. It feels extremely surreal being here and watching this. I mean, everywhere you look is on fire. Everything that we can see that is on the land that can burn is burning right now. I mean, from up in the canyons to what you're looking at right now, which is what's left, the rubble that's left from this mobile home park, to structures that are further down PCH, we're not sure what those are, to the public bathrooms on the other side of PCH. So this has jumped PCH and is now on both sides, even though there's not a whole lot left here to burn. It is still burning. It's just remarkable to watch. And, you know, we see that firefighter, that fire engine heading south on PCH. We've seen that over and over. They're going south, they're coming north, but they've not stopped at any point to help to do any, you know, structural protection for any of these homes. That's some of the frustration from this homeowner we've been talking to. This gentleman, he's standing near me. He's been here for a couple of hours now. He keeps coming and talking a little bit more. He's warming up a little bit, I think, just still completely in shock from watching his home burn down. But he said, you know, they were here. They knew that this fire was coming down. The homeowners were there. They were trying to protect their homes with garden hoses. And there was a fire engine that was there right at the entrance. And he just said they could have done something, but they ran out of water and then they left. They said they'd come back and they didn't. Obviously, those firefighters are working on life-saving efforts. I mean, that's obviously their first priority, as it should be. Property is secondary, but that's obviously hard to hear for the homeowners who are just watching everything they have and they own go up in flames. The gentleman we've been speaking to said he ran back in when he knew that it was too late. He knew that his home was on fire and there was nothing that was going to save it. He said he ran in and he grabbed a physical picture of his late mother, and that's the only belonging that he took out of that home as he ran down the hill to get away from those flames. So, I mean, you hear stories like this and it just... the impact is so great to these people. I mean, you think about the fear in those people that were in their cars on Sunset Boulevard making that decision to run. You know, that's a true fear, and we see these scenes like this, and I mean, it's just hard to believe. Again, I just feel surreal. It looks like we're on a movie set. Like this is not actually where we're standing in the Pacific Palisades right now. When you look at the scenes of destruction, it'll be really interesting to see tomorrow when the sun comes up and to kind of get a sense of how widespread this damage is. This gentleman says there's 187, he believes, mobile homes that are in this park alone, and this is just one of several up and down this section of PCH. He says there's one to the south and one to the north as well, and we believe that those structures are burned as well. I mean, it's hard to tell, obviously, right now with all the smoke in the air and these shifting winds and you know, no ability to get in and really see what's going on. But I think it's safe to assume that these numbers are going to skyrocket from what was reported earlier this evening in terms of these structures that have been lost. I mean, we're seeing it with our own eyes. We're watching these structures burn. Just remarkable damage here in the Pacific Palisades, and just so much just devastation and fear from these homeowners who are just watching everything that they have go up in flames.
And we can just hear the roar of that wind. It is something. All right, Chelsea, thank you. We want to talk now about the new fire that popped up. It's being called the Eaton Fire. Here's some images. This is thanks to Jonathan Acosta here. And this is burning in Altadena. 200 acres. This just erupted, already up to 200 acres, and there are mandatory evacuations in place. Angeles National Forest, one of the agencies on scene, says leave now if you are in the evacuation zone. I'm going to read these out to you. I do believe that we can throw them up on your screen. Evacuation orders underway for east of Altadena Drive, Glen Springs, Coolidge, Miranda, Roosevelt, Veranda, and Ken Clare. mandatory evacuations for all of those areas listed by Angeles National Forest. That agency is saying to leave now, and you can see these flames here and how close they are to homes. And this is another vantage point from above, looks like from a helicopter here, and it's burning out of control. There are multiple agencies on this one, Alex. Pasadena Fire, LA County Fire, which we know is also helping in the Palisades fire. Pasadena PD is out there as well, and LASD as well, LA County Sheriff's Department, with those road closures and evacuation orders.
Wow. Yeah, this is our best video so far of that brush fire, which is burning near Pasadena. Wow, look at that. And this is the live picture that we've been looking at from Mount Wilson, which we hear there have been some evacuations ordered there. Also just got word the city of Santa Monica, back in our other fire, what's happening in the Palisades, has just issued a evacuation order. We've been talking about that Santa Monica seems somewhat in the clear. It's where a lot of people went to evacuate, but they are now evacuating all areas of the city north of San Vicente. Immediate threat to life, lawful order to leave now. Areas now closed to public access. So that is areas north of Montana to San Vicente. FYI about the city of Santa Monica, if you live there, the message is to get out. Ed Laskos, back in the Palisades area, you know, and some of the worst images of destruction have been from Ed and his photographer, Mike Armijo. Ed.
Yes, it's heartbreaking, unbelievable. Looks like a nightmare, I got to tell you. And interesting, you talked about those evacuation notices now coming up in Santa Monica. It's something that we heard about 30 minutes ago in this neighborhood here, just off Sunset in the Palisades. LAPD going by in their black and whites on the loudspeaker saying, get out now, mandatory evacuation, evacuate eastbound on Sunset, which would take you back in that direction you were just talking about, where they are now asking folks to leave in that area of Santa Monica, moving toward the Brentwood area. Crazy scene out here. Long Beach, Engine 10 on this scene. Antioch, Radford, just off Haverford, about a block south, if you will, towards PCH, just on the backside of Gelson's, give you an idea. Heart of the village of the Palisades. This one home here is sadly the latest casualty of this out-of-control wildfire. That front end looks like it's going to give way. In fact, some of the firefighters just pulled out as they're thinking that front wall might come crashing down. It's one of, geez, I don't know, a dozen, maybe more homes on this one street alone as it winds down from Sunset down toward the Bluffs and PCH along Temescal that has been lost. And as you look down the road, down the street itself, Antioch, one after another, you just see one of the homes and other homes burning, because of the trouble is the embers that keep blowing from this wind. As Mike Armijo, the photographer, was saying, it was almost like missiles. Hear that wind blowing through? I know, huh? And it picks up all those embers, missiles, if you will, lit missiles, blows them down. And look at the front of that home. Looks like it's just, sadly, we're lose another home here. I must tell you, though, the firefighters from Long Beach have moved in. First ones we've seen, and they're working very hard to try to contain this one if you can, and do protection, structure protection on the home right next to it, to the left side, because the one on the right side we've already lost. So they're doing their best. You can see them pouring water on the one to try to keep it cool so that these embers and the fire does not spread. They don't want it to go up this block, as it's right in the direct, it's downwind in the direct line of all the embers and where the fire has been burning, as it's burning now on the east side of Temescal. We've already lost some areas over at Pali High School, if you're familiar with the area. It jumps over Temescal, over that canyon area, over the roadway onto the east side into the Antioch Street area, Haverford, right along, right basically across from Temescal and Pali High, backside of Gelson's, and it's just been a firefight here the last couple of hours. Several of these homes gone, and as you look over past, these are the homes that we first lost here as this fire, the sparks first hit this area. Chimneys standing, brick chimneys, all that's left is just smoldering, burning debris, and at times you might hear some gas canisters pop. That's about it. And then over here, down there. Look at that's a look there of a lot of the fire engines that are moving in further down along to Mesquite as you come down closer to PCH, trying to get a handle on some of the flames that are burning down there, some of the homes that are burning down there, as they're trying desperately just to try to contain a lot of these burning embers as they're going through. Mikey, I don't know if we can look through the trees over there. It's probably a tough shot, but there's a huge home down there, a mansion. Some of these homes are beautiful. They're up on the hillside overlooking PCH. Great views down over the bluffs. That one is fully engulfed, several stories high. Just an unbelievable scene here. War zone. A lady came by a little earlier saying desperately she was trying to call 911, complaining that there was no way to get through 911. That was at a point when there were no fire trucks, no fire engines, no firemen anywhere to be seen in this particular area, in this particular neighborhood. She was, and there's a good look at that home I was talking about further down on Antioch here. My goodness, it is a firestorm here, raging out of control. Firefighters, Long Beach, are here doing their best, but with these winds and these embers, there's not much you can do, not much anyone can do.
Wow. So depressing and sad to look at. Ed Lascos, Mike Armijo, thank you for the excellent coverage all evening long in very, very tough conditions out there. As we watch these homes continue to burn. We've been talking about evacuations. We just talked about the fact that Santa Monica now adding evacuations, Eaton Canyon adding evacuations. Governor Newsom is in town tonight because he was supposed to meet with President Biden out in Thermal for a national monument. That had to be canceled. President Biden stuck here in Southern California tonight. Governor Newsom ended up going to the press conference earlier today in Santa Monica, and he talked about the need to follow when it comes to those mandatory evacuations. Let's listen.
By no stretch of the imagination are we out of the woods. You heard the chief say 10 p.m. tonight to 5 a.m. tomorrow will be peak winds. And having just quite literally an hour or so ago gone up the canyon and saw firsthand the impact of these swirling winds and the embers and the number of structures that are destroyed, not a few, many structures already destroyed, and the fact that people were still not evacuated, still did not heed the warning, we're just coming down the canyon, is a reminder of how serious this moment is and how important it is you listen to these evacuation orders.
Well, he also declared a state of emergency as it relates to this, and he did reach out to President Biden. Alex may have just mentioned that, and to get FEMA involved and help get more federal dollars. Let's give you a look.
President Biden gave the approval for that, so the federal government's going to be spending a lot of money on helping to fight this fire.
Okay, so let's talk about the evacuation centers that are so precious to so many people. I know a lot of people, had fled to Santa Monica, but now north of San Vicente, all of those areas are under a mandatory evacuation. If you need an evacuation center, the closest one to the Pacific Palisades would be the Westwood Recreation Center. It's at 1350 South Sepulveda Boulevard. This is right between Wilshire and Ohio. This is where American Red Cross is also set up. They are accepting small animals there as well. Another evacuation center that we have is, I know the Dream Center is another one that has opened its doors. This is in Hollywood, the 2300 block, 2301 Bellevue Avenue in Los Angeles. And I just got a message from Clint Carlton, who helps run the Dream Center, and he says this is open not just for the Palisades fire, but now the Eaton fire as well. So if you are in a situation where you need a place to stay tonight, the Dream Center is your place to go. That is a good option for you. In terms of animals, you can also go to the Pierce College in Woodland Hills. That one is accepting large livestock, smaller animals. The LA County Animal Shelter in Agora is accepting smaller animals. So those are your animal evacuation centers, in addition to the human evacuation centers, if you will. We continue to look at live pictures like this all afternoon, and it's just getting worse and worse now that the sun has set. A couple of hours ago. Alex, it looks like you have some new information.
Yeah, the White House just put out a statement from President Biden, who is here in Southern California tonight. The statement, not on camera, saying he's being frequently briefed on the wildfires in West Los Angeles. My team and I are in touch with state and local officials, and I've offered any federal assistance that is needed to help suppress the terrible Pacific Palisades fire. Earlier tonight, FEMA approved a fire management assistance grant to support areas that are impacted and help reimburse the state of California for the immediate firefighting costs. My administration will do everything it can to support the response. I urge the residents of Pacific Palisades and surrounding areas of Los Angeles to stay vigilant and listen to local officials. So that is a statement from the president. We have not, even though he is right down the street from where these fires are, we haven't seen him on camera. I haven't seen him going to any of the briefings, which would cause quite a security situation and may not be all that helpful right now, considering Secret Service and all the rest of it. But as we look at this live picture, once again, you get a sense of just the embers and how scary this is and how we are not anywhere close to being out of the woods yet. Matthew Seedorf continues his excellent reporting. Matthew is on the move, and we've got some firefighters with him as well. Matthew.
Yeah, you can feel that heat come behind you with that wind as the firefighters are outside Palisades Charter High School. We're actually on the campus right now. We'll follow the firefighters over here as the flames have reached campus. These are actual classrooms that we're seeing on fire. Just hard to imagine. I mean, there were students here in class today, and now you're just looking at this, and it's just hard to put into words. You can hear the firefighters yelling for more water. We saw them on the front of the school, also with their ladder out, just trying to get on top of this, but just feeling the heat, the embers blowing around. And this is what you're seeing all over Pacific Palisades. We were just driving a little bit across town. You can see you lose track counting the number of homes that are on fire right now. So this is just unbelievable. Looks like the firefighters are about to get some water on it, hopefully here, and prevent it from spreading to the rest of the school. But this is an intense situation. Alex and Marwa, back to you.
Yeah, it is so heartbreaking. And then to add to that, thank you so much, Matthew. We're just getting word that, and this isn't a big surprise, but it's still terrible to hear, that all aircraft has been grounded. So the firefight will not be fought from the air. It will be fought from the ground as we have now descended into nightfall. Adam Kruger, I know that's not a big surprise to you either.
Yeah, I mean, we heard about this earlier in the press conference, that it would be a combination of dangerous to fly at night, but also ineffective for whatever they're dropping. With the winds this strong, it's just kind of getting blown away. So, yeah, not a surprise to hear that. Now, as we go into the night, here's headline number one of the three main points. If you're just going to take three things away from this here, it's the fact that winds will be peaking between, I'd say, 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. So we're heading into that time when the winds are just going to be even stronger than what we've seen so far. Also, the humidity drops a little bit tomorrow, so it gets even drier than what we see right now. And the extreme wind conditions and dry conditions, red flag conditions, cover a huge part of Southern California. So while a lot of our coverage has rightfully been focused on the Pacific Palisades, don't forget that many other parts of Southern California are finding similar weather conditions. And if a fire were to start, it could spread very rapidly. We learned not long ago there's the Eaton fire, which is a little north of Pasadena, something definitely to keep an eye on as we go through the night, as would be any other spot is worth keeping an eye on as well. All right, so forecast wind gusts now as we look at 8 o'clock tonight and head a little bit later into 10 o'clock. So notice the extreme wind gusts. I mean, we don't see the computer model really forecast something like this too often. It's showing widespread gusts over 50, some spots over 60, some spots over 70 miles per hour. So getting more intense with those winds as we continue through the night. Here's a look at 2 o'clock in the morning. And again, we're just like locked in to these really intense winds during the late night hours through tomorrow morning. Here's a look now at 4 o'clock in the morning. Things do not look any better. It is just a wild map to see with these intense wind speeds being forecast. Here we go into 8 o'clock in the morning. And we still see the strong winds. And keep in mind, while, yes, the fire threat is very high, there's also just the risk of straight-up wind damage happening anywhere. With winds of this nature, trees can come down, things can get blown away if they're not secured. So keep all that in mind through the night and into tomorrow. Now, here's a look at noon tomorrow. We still have intense winds, but the numbers start to come down a little bit. And then by the end of the day tomorrow at 6 p.m., that's when our high wind warning will expire. And then we're past the peak, but still we have some concern after that. Now, another thing I want to show you here, just to kind of break down why we expect the strongest winds to start picking up here tonight. And when we look at the pattern in the atmosphere, we've got what we call the jet stream. You may have heard of this before. So this is like a river of fast-moving winds much higher up in the atmosphere, basically where the jets are flying around. And so the jet stream goes like this, follows this kind of swirly path right here. And there's a particular part of the jet stream which is just about to line up over us tonight. I've got this started at 10 p.m. right on the kind of northwest side of this intense low right here, where the winds are really especially zipping quite strong. And so it's those upper atmosphere winds that are adding this little extra boost to the already strong wind event we've seen all day long. So that lines up right over us tonight. And as we go into tomorrow morning and into about noon tomorrow, then we see that batch of really strong higher atmosphere winds start to move a little farther south. But between now and tomorrow morning, that's when we get that little extra boost a little bit higher up in the atmosphere, which is why we expect those winds to just keep increasing as we go through these next couple of hours. We'll go back to you.
Adam, thanks. We'll go back now to Christy Fajardo. Christy, what are you seeing?
We're actually on Dela Cruz, and I'm seeing a building right over there on fire, and we're hearing loud booms, so it appears that there's propane there. And if you walk with me, some people have lost their livelihoods. Down the street, we've seen people who've lost their homes, and sadly, some children have also lost their school. This is Palisades Charter School, and we've just watched as it's been decimated, and there is not a firefighter around. We're hearing fire alarms going off all around us, but no one can be spared to respond. And when we first arrived, we didn't know what this was, but we saw the playground and then looked it up on Google Maps and just have watched here helplessly, unable to do anything about this, and just wondering about the hundreds of children who no doubt attend, and looks like there's not going to be much left. This is Swarthmore is where we're standing, and you can see how much of it has been damaged, or if we pan that way, even destroyed. And down the street, in fact, if we walk out this way a little bit, I think if we pan down, you'll see those flames there. That is a house that is on fire, and now the trees all around it are on fire, and the trees across the street are on fire. So those homes are now in danger of burning as well. And again, no firefighting resources are here. We have seen the LAPD come through. They have been on their megaphones asking people to evacuate, telling them they need to clear out now. Fortunately, it looks like everyone heeded those warnings and got out before we saw all of this, but a very dangerous situation. Again, we're hearing booms. Appears all around us. It appears that propane tanks are catching fire, and sadly, so did this school. Listen, back to you.
Yeah, we're sorry to see another school that has gone up in flames. Obviously, our other crew was at the Palisades Charter High School that has suffered significant damage as well, Alex.
Yeah, and this is a live picture right now. This is the Palisades that we're looking at here. It's hard to even keep track because we've got this fire burning and we've got the fire burning in Eaton Canyon right now as well, which is also threatening homes. There's a live picture from Mount Wilson where you see that on the move as well. And it is, I mean, I'm sure wherever you're watching us right now, you are feeling these winds as well. Even in this studio, which is soundproof and huge, where we almost never, ever hear or feel winds, we have been feeling at times this studio shaking because the winds are so intense, which I've never felt in my 7 years of being here. This is one of the most damaging wind events in modern Southern California history. We've been talking about it for days, but it's turned out to be, frankly, even worse than what we were predicting. And if you can believe it, the worst of the winds have not happened yet. That's expected to happen between 10 o'clock tonight and 5 o'clock in the morning. Ed Lascos can't hear us, but hopefully we're going to be able to tell him that he's on TV. Go ahead.
Now the firefight goes on here, and it's growing more desperate by the very moment. Power now shut off in the last few minutes. Some of the apartment buildings, condos, all in dark. We've also lost cell service. AT&T, one of the carriers, it's out, making the situation even more dire. This is Antioch. It is just south of Sunset, right just south of the village of the Palisades itself, right behind Gelson's, if you're familiar with that, just east of Temescal Canyon. One of the many homes on this winding block that we have lost in this firestorm. This fire engine 10 from Long Beach, moving in here. The first engines that we have seen, first firefighters that we have seen in this area. They've been doing their best to try to shut down this fire, and particularly the embers as the winds are blowing across your screen from right to left. Sometimes we get those big gusts that go through here, and those embers look like flaming missiles that fly several hundred yards toward the east, causing some more spot fires. That's been the entire problem. This block hit by the first wave of this firestorm a couple of hours ago. Over on this block were some beautiful homes. On the west side, there's a chimney, a brick chimney, all that's left. But interesting, there's that chimney, that home, three-story home, gone. Interesting, you'd look there and it'd be a home, but if you look through the smoke and the debris, see, it says Pali. That's Pali High School, Temescal Canyon and Pali High School, and the lights that shine down on the football field. Normally, you would never see that from this street. Tree lined with those beautiful homes here. Now it's a wide open field smoldering with debris of what's left of these homes, as Pali High School itself has even been hit by this out-of-control fire. Some more booms going off, some more transformers. Further down on Antioch, through all the smoke, is a huge mansion down there on top of the crest that overlooks the bluff, looking down on PCH. We're losing that one too in this firefight, going up in flames. It's not much that these firefighters can do. They're trying with this home here to get another stream of water on it to try to shut down these embers, but at this point it's an out-of-control fire, and they're doing all they can. But at least we're seeing our first firefighters in this area. They're coming from Long Beach, not the city of LA, so you gotta wonder what the heck is going on, as we're right in the middle of this area. We've already lost several homes, and there's no... Listen to that. I'm sure you can hear it. The wind just roaring through here. These winds are the biggest problem, with the embers just flying all over the place. The firefight goes on, still out of control, but at least these firefighters from Long Beach doing all they can to try to suppress these flares that are blowing through here.
Okay, Ed. Well, as a result of this, we want to reiterate, because Santa Monica is such a big area as well, that the evacuation orders have spread to the city of Santa Monica, an evacuation order for the entire area from the northern border of the city to San Vicente Boulevard. That's between Ocean Boulevard and 26th Street. An evacuation warning is in place for the area north of Montana to San Vicente. So that is something we will continue to keep a watch on as well. A live picture from our Santa Monica camera right now. And you can just see, of course, the active flames and the strong winds. Let's get back to the ground, and we are headed to Chelsea Edwards. This is a little bit earlier, an intense situation that she was involved in along PCH. Chelsea.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Marla, we're going to add to that number so far. So where we have been standing for a while, we've been watching these homes on Terrace Circle go up in flames. There's been at least 5 that have gone up. We just watched the last one on that terrace burn to the ground. But now, unfortunately, we're able to see in the distance there, south on PCH, we've got some smoke covering it now. There's another structure somewhere in the distance that is burning. But also across on this side on PCH, we've been talking about how there are no homes on this side. There are some structures, though, that we're able to see now that they're lit up. Those are, we believe, the public bathrooms that are right in that area along the beach that are currently on fire. So that happened within the last 5 to 10 minutes, and that whole thing is just going up. We haven't seen any firefighting efforts in that area or here at all since we've been here in this particular part of PCH, which means that everything in this area is just, if the flames come to it, it's burning. I've been talking to the homeowner, one of the homeowners here in this mobile park. He says there may be as many as 187 homes in this one mobile home park, but that there's several others in this area. Now, we don't have a clear idea yet whether that many homes in this particular area have burned, but that's what we're looking at. I mean, that's the reality that we're facing here. These homes are very tight together, these mobile home parks. you know, the structures are very close together, and once one goes up, if there's no mitigation efforts, you know, the others go up as well. So we're watching this burn to the ground. You know, we've been able to see all these homes on Terrace Circle burn. Not clear how many behind it have burned, but it could be a lot. Let's take a look again, Elliot, if we look down on PCH, that public bathroom. So that's a relatively large structure, and that was lit up quite a bit a little while ago, but you can see those flames coming off of it. Look where the wind is pushing it. So the wind is still pushing everything to the west toward the ocean. For a while there, it turned back on us. So we were standing here, and all of a sudden it shifted very quickly. We were getting knocked around, our camera was getting knocked around, and the smoke was just coming directly in our direction. That seems to have shifted now to the opposite, and I think that kind of speaks to just how chaotic this is, and that we just don't know where it's going to go. And every time the wind shifts, these embers get carried to a different area. They can possibly light up different homes, like what we're seeing right now here along PCH. And then we've got on fire with really not enough resources to be able to tackle it, to do property, to save these properties, unfortunately. So again, we're seeing at least one more home in the distance, but just with the numbers of this mobile home park, if this gentleman is correct, and there are 187 mobile homes back there, if that whole thing is flattened, these numbers are going to be very different from when we wake up tomorrow morning from what we heard at the last press conference. So certainly keep an eye on that, but just devastating to watch. That homeowner is still here watching his neighborhood burn, and he just said, I don't have anywhere to go. I have nothing left. He didn't have insurance on it. There's nothing left he can do. So it's just, it's a devastating situation for so many people right now.
This was also another scene earlier. This is when a lot of people had nowhere to go. They abandoned their cars because the flames were fast approaching. As a result, LA City Fire, they had to come in because the road was completely blocked. They bulldozed all the cars off to the side to make that emergency route to clear it out. Eric Scott of LAFD and LAPD Chief Jim McDonald, they were asked about this situation. Here's what they had to say.
So questions about abandoned cars, that's a good question that has come up. Law enforcement assists us heavily with evacuation, but please remember it's an active incident. We don't have the answers to all of these questions. We will certainly look at that. That's very important. I don't know if police felt like they wanted to make a mention to evacuations. Sure. Okay.
Yeah, just on that question of evacuations, vehicles left in the roadway. If you have to leave a vehicle in the roadway, get it as far off the road as you can so that emergency vehicles can't get by. The gist of moving them with bulldozers was an emergency situation. You got to get those fire resources through, and they do what they have to do to be able to facilitate that. So we're asking really for the cooperation, and think a couple of steps ahead. It's not just your vehicle there, but then others line up behind you as well as they see what you're doing. And so I can't stress enough, please follow the evacuation orders. Do your best to be able to get out to safety. Bring the equipment you will need for the next couple of days with you, because as you've heard over and over again, this is not going to end very quickly.
But this is very, very, very dynamic. And you can just, by standing here, seeing us with the wind gusts and with the predictability of this wind's going to get worse tonight. So we want people to lean forward, ready, set, go, and be ready.
That was Chief Kristen Crowley from the Los Angeles Fire Department. Okay, so as we approach the top of the hour, a programming note. We've been on with fire coverage on Fox 11 since 10:30 in the morning. At the top of the hour, at 8 o'clock on Fox 11, we're going to go to our Fox primetime programming. But if you want to continue watching our coverage, you can flip over to channel 13, Fox 11 Plus, where we're already on. Some of you may already be watching us on channel 13, but it's an opportunity to flip to channel 13. You can do so right now. If you're streaming us, we're not going anywhere. We're on the Fox local app. We're on the Fox 11 Los Angeles app, foxla.com/live. All of our coverage tonight is free. It's commercial free. We are going to be here with you, and we'll be back on Fox 11 from 10 to 11:30 at least tonight, Marla.
Yeah, so we have a lot of coverage headed your way because we're covering not just the Palisades fire, which started at 10:30 this morning, but also the Eaton fire, which there are now mandatory evacuations in Altadena. That fire is at least 200 acres, so we are watching both fires. We will also be able to bring you a live report from the Eaton fire, our first from Gina Silva, just as soon as she arrives, and we know that she is very close to that scene. So again, the Palisades fire burning out of control, almost 3,000 acres. The Eaton fire in Altadena, 200 plus acres at this point.
So
Eight o'clock. Thank you so much for watching us on Fox 11 Plus, also known as Channel 13. I'm Marla Tejas alongside Alex Michelson. We have live pictures across our area of the Palisades fire and also the Eaton fire. That one just popped up about an hour or so ago, but right now our focus is on the Palisades fire that is threatening some 10,000 homes still at this hour tonight. It erupted earlier today, Alex, at 10:30 a.m.
And we have special live primetime coverage tonight of one of the scariest fire nights that we have seen in years in Southern California. Let's talk about the Palisades fire first. At least 2,900 acres burned. That number is going to be higher than that. We're at 0% containment. 30,000 people under mandatory evacuation orders, 10,000 homes threatened. A lot of cars, as you're looking at there, were left because people had to abandon them, and then they were bulldozed out of the way by authorities. That's why they are totaled there on the side of the street right there. And we have seen structure after structure burn, including Pali High and Pali Elementary, both burning tonight in all of this.
Let's take a look at some of the time-lapse video just to give you a better idea as we've watched this fire erupt hour after hour this afternoon. Those flames on the hillside. This is our camera from West Los Angeles, where Fox 11 is based, looking out west. And you can see just the plume of smoke, which is spotted from all across Southern California. And now, again, we have that second fire that erupted tonight. So that other plume of smoke, we will get to the Eaton fire, but our coverage does continue on the Palisades fire. We want to go to Chelsea Edwards. She's been along PCH, and you've seen a lot of destruction tonight.
A lot of destruction. We just saw a convoy of, it looked like LAPD officers and some fire officials going this way on PCH. So that may indicate that something is now happening to the north. But from where we're seeing, we're looking south on PCH, and, you know, we're just seeing this kind of wall of flames. Look over here, Elliot, to the left. This is a new flare up, it looks like. You can see just in the canyon here, this is just near Terrace Circle. Many homes, several, probably many in this mobile home community just completely destroyed. We watched as they burned one by one by one. They went up, they smoldered for a long time, then the structure just kind of fell down, crumpled on top of each other. You could hear the banging and the clanging, and then they were just gone. And we've also been watching to the south there. It's hard to tell exactly what we're looking at, but we believe, according to people that we've talked to here on the ground, that is another mobile home park called the Tahitian Village, and that those are homes in that area that are currently burning. Again, we haven't confirmed that with authorities. There are no authorities here to talk to, but just from our vantage point, that's what it appears that we're looking at, even more homes. So when we talk about this tally of the number of homes that have been lost, I think it's going to be a much different number than what we heard earlier earlier. It's going to be much higher just based on what we're seeing here on the ground. Now, it also jumped PCH, and we were watching this public bathroom burn for a while there. That burned for a very long time. It looks like it is finally out now. I'm not sure if that structure has collapsed on itself yet, or if the fire just has died down. I'm not sure what's happened there, but yeah, it is. That is now burned, and this wind just continues to kick up. It's really just remarkable how strong these winds are. I mean, there are times where my colleague Elliot Mendoza and I are standing here, and all of a sudden we just get knocked. There was at one point where he said he could actually see it. He could see the smoke kind of billowing down. He said it looked like a bomb, when a nuclear bomb goes off, and you can see it coming. And then we just felt it, and we almost got knocked over yet again. So very strong winds, and now they're gone, and now they're kicking back up again. It's just wild. They're changing directions. Often they're blowing toward the ocean, which is certainly the best thing, but other times they're headed toward the north and the south. I mean, it's really just chaotic. Oh, I'm looking over my shoulder again. This is a new flare-up. Not sure what's burning back there. Not sure what is actually back there, but something is burning now closer to the bottom here. Now, everything on the hillside next to where we're standing has already gone. When we got here, a lot of that was smoldering. We saw a lot of hot spots, a lot of big embers. Those have all burnt out now, so this whole hillside is gone. All the vegetation is gone. And back in there, we believe there are homes. I don't know what that is. It's burning back there. There's one of those LAPD officers, I believe, that's heading north. So they're responding to something north of where we are, but I don't see any flames to the north now. We did for a while there, so not sure exactly where this thing is moving, but a lot of destruction in the area where we're standing near these mobile home parks. Again, this one, it looks like there are several homes that have been lost, and it appears from where we're standing that many others in the mobile home park that is closer to Temescal Canyon have now burned as well. So it's just been something to watch. We're standing here with this homeowner who's been watching this for hours now, and he just cannot believe the amount of destruction that this has caused. He's lived here his whole life, and he said he's 80 years old. He's never seen anything quite like this, and he's been through a lot of natural disasters living in the Pacific Palisades and the Malibu area for 80 years. So that says something about how serious the situation is.
It is so heartbreaking. I keep saying that, but just to hear his story alone is it just breaks your heart. All right, Chelsea, thank you so much. Ed Lascos, he has more devastation. He has been in the heart of the village there in the Palisades. And Ed, what are you seeing now?
Yeah, we are at one of the several ground zeros of this firefight. This is Radcliffe. It runs parallel to Temescal Canyon, heading down to PCH. The fire jumping over Temescal Canyon. Pali High School on the other side has already been damaged, and the fire roaring through this neighborhood. These homes on the east side, you can hear the wind. Look at the embers. That is the biggest, oh my God. That's the biggest problem with this firefight. These embers just roaring through, as Mikey Armijo, the photographer, saying they're like lit missiles that fly up through the air. Unbelievable big chunks of debris burning out this one home that's going down, looking all the way down this little alleyway. Several homes, one after the other, eastward. Burnt right down, caught on fire as these embers are just spreading like crazy. Down further along Radcliffe, around the bend, more of the homes. We're losing more of those fires. Some fire engines have moved in to try to stop the spread of those embers down there. Look at this home on this side, the west side of Radcliffe. It has been roaring the last hour or so, hearing booms coming from there, the gas cylinders exploding. Some of the, we also thought earlier, some of the electrical transformers lighting up and popping. Everywhere you look here in this area of the Palisades Village, fire up on the hillsides, fire. That's the top of the bluff, some of the most beautiful spots in this area. You'd stand up there by those mansions, a nice park over there. You look down the bluff at PCH, the ocean, the bay, incredible sunsets. Homes up there burning, the hillside burning. Through here you would never see this. There's a beautiful home that we lost here, just brick chimneys left standing through the debris. But as you look through, you could see the lights from the football field of Pali High School. You would never see that here because this home should be here, but there's nothing here now over this hillside, Temescal Canyon, the football field, the school on the other side. It's also been damaged by this fire. As we swing around, here's some of the homes that first went up on this area of Radcliffe on the west side as the fire jumped over the canyon. They're all down now. smoldering debris. And here we're finally seeing some fire trucks. I say finally because over the last several hours, nothing. Here, there we go. Front end of that home finally giving out. Long Beach Fire, Engine 10. The firefighters have been putting a lot of water on it, trying to stop as they can the spread of those embers, but we knew it was just a matter of time as it was leaning. And a little while ago, the firefighters said, get back, get back. It's not safe. So they moved back into more of a defensive situation now, but still trying to do structure protection on the buildings next door as this home is gone. Flames just roaring through the embers, fly high into the air. That's the problem. And right down the alley, we've lost several homes, one after the other, from Radcliffe all the way over, continuing east. LAPD going by the last hour, black and whites with their loudspeakers saying, evacuate, get out now, no time to waste, evacuate eastbound on Sunset. That is the way, but I must tell you, it seems like everybody has long evacuated this area. It's in darkness, no electricity, no cell service, everybody just holding on and waiting for the firefighters to come through as we send it back to you.
Ed Laskos, yeah, thank you so much. It was quite something to see basically the facade of that house just tumble down the other side of the street. You see the chimney standing, which he's pointed out, and just, he said it, war zone. Looks apocalyptic. We've heard that word a lot today, and it's gone from house to house.
He was talking about Pali High School. A little bit earlier tonight, Matthew Seedorf was live in front of Pali High School. Here's that report.
Yeah, you can we're surrounded by flames, but keep hearing those loud bangs. Like, it just sounds like firecrackers just going off, bang, bang. Right now you can see the homes right near Palisades Charter High School. Several homes on fire, if not destroyed already. And then, Sam, if you want to point up to the light, just so people can see the smoke just blowing, just look how fast it's going. I mean, that's something you see. I've covered hurricanes on the coast. That's what you see with hurricanes and the rain, just all of that wind just blowing all this smoke. It's pretty remarkable to see. And Sam, if you want to walk with me outside the high school, we're going to look kind of out towards the football field. Looks like there's a structure burning over there. And we talked about just being surrounded by flames, but it's just all around the football stadium. We saw the press box on fire, and we want to see, because we've seen the other side of the high school. We saw the other side of the high school with the flames on the baseball field and the field house, the locker rooms, and this is the main entrance to the school. And we did see some fire here a little while ago, and I just want to get a quick look and show you guys kind of what we're seeing at the front of the school. Yeah, you can see the flames coming in from this direction, getting closer to the school. Just definitely a scary situation. I'll go ahead and send it back to you.
Matthew Seedorf, thank you. We now move to a different part of Southern California, which is also on fire. This is the Eaton fire in the Altadena area, and for the first time, our colleague Gina Silva is giving us a look from the ground. Those are horses, Gina?
Those are horses, yes. There's a woman that just came down the road here, and she's trying to get her horses out of here. But as you can see, we are on New York Drive in Altadena, and this entire hillside is on fire. It has already crossed the street, and there's a building here that is in danger of also going up in flames. I don't know exactly what it is, but I believe it said water meters, something like that. But you can see this is an incredible wind-driven fire. The Eden fire started around 6:30 p.m. with just an estimated 20 acres. And the blaze, as you can see, it has quickly exploded into more than 200 acres, and it keeps growing. There are so many homes here in danger, and that is why officials have issued a mandatory evacuation order in the area that is just west of the Eden Canyon Golf Course. People living on these streets also have to evacuate immediately. And I heard a lady earlier saying she didn't want to leave because she's got animals. And so there was a sort of a thing that was going back and forth. But people living on these streets, they have to leave immediately. You can see how dangerous the situation is. These are the streets: Kinalea Canyon Road, Outpost Lane, Glen Springs, Coolidge, Miranda, Roosevelt, Vernada, Canclair, and areas east of Altadena Drive. As you can see, this is a fast-moving fire, and these winds are absolutely wicked. And I think that we ourselves are going to have to end up moving because our vehicles are down here. And this just keeps moving down. Now, we came from upland, and I got to tell you, oh my goodness, the winds out there were so strong. It was difficult to stand in one place, so we were concerned that a fire could break out there when this one broke out and we were sent to this location. But as you can see, Pasadena Fire, LA County Fire, there are so many units that are here battling this blaze. As I said, there are so many homes that are in danger. And at this point, we did hear that one home is on fire. And right over here, Joab, you can see more people coming with their horses. They're trying to rescue their animals. Can you imagine just, oh my goodness, these embers flying everywhere. Hi there, how many more horses do you have?
We have a couple we just let loose over there. We're trying to get as many as we can out. Yeah.
Are any homes out there on fire?
Honestly, I did not pay attention. I just drove straight to the barn to get my horses out and get the rest of these guys out. We're not just gonna let them burn.
We got a bunch out with trailers and there's a bunch in there still. How many more? We don't know. I don't know how many. How many did you let out?
We took about 4 of them in trailers, 2 in the different trailer, 3 in another one. So there should be at least maybe 12.
About 12? Are there more people out there right now?
It's a whole bar.
Look down and down to get these out. I got, let's see. So there's 4, 2, 3, what is that, 9? How many before that? 11, 12. There's 12. Yeah, no, they're pretty wired up. Yeah. They're getting used to it now, but when the wind's blowing and the embers are, they don't really know what to do. Have you seen anything like this? Look at that hillside. Yeah, I've rescued before. Yeah? Yeah. Okay. Well, please be safe. Yeah, thank you. You be safe too. Yeah. I think, Joab, we're going to have